There's a.
And she is the sweetest girl.
Oh, well, the Schwab's.
But she's Greyhound, and she does have Greyhound winners and Beagle. And so she's quite a combination. I just, she, feed her tons of food. Voice dog food, eggs, she'll Cheerios with honey over the top, and everything's right back. But it's just that she is. Yeah, cause they're usually pretty mean too.
So I very full.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Around like the racehorse.
Well, that's what this real put up to.
I don't know, I will find out though.
I said, well, yes, and the dog. Still, I'll text him about. Yeah, yeah, I was from that, yeah.
She would have probably, you know, it's hard when people can't hear, well, also sometimes it goes back. I don't know, I didn't probably, so I don't know how.
Strip it off.
Yeah, I think. Oh, yeah, you're still in the same house.
Right after the engagement, right downtown. That was the first lot that was, penciled in to be sold. And it worked out, I mean, apparently.
Yeah, really.
Well, it wasn't that. That was the kitchen.
Oh.
Second back. I still.
It's a good two-person house. My friends are there. Aren't you supposed to be a Yeah. Good to see you.
Hey, my daughter, her family stopped here today. It was a nice surprise. I see you out of a job. So are you going inside and doing anything? Very happy. Please keep an open mind. So, I don't even have yes, sir. I had no idea. It's all your. I didn't question why. The water works is still like new processes. They have a lot. Yeah, there's who are these people? They made her dog bite me that day.
Did not. Well, I saw it, but we didn't make it happen.
I gotta blame it on somebody.
Okay, okay. Yeah. I do good.
You saw when it
Yeah. Yeah.
but she was like, they did that one.
Okay. So, yeah, they check
I called Mr. Boston today and said, what are you wearing? He said, blue and shorts. Take time, take time.
I forgot about that.
Okay, okay.
He worked. He worked. Oh, yeah. He did.
You're testing me. She asked us, and I go, why does Or that two boys? That two boys in the Western.
Yes.
You win your category. So we get to all time. Jeopardy.
Yeah, I mean, in fact. Seems like it. Not a good idea?
In 1974, when they're across the road. My dad farmed that from 74 to the end of 87. Yeah. Only it was a lot bigger farm than they split off their housing and sold the farm.
It just started.
Whose birthday? Aw. We gonna sing to you?
No.
Happy birthday. Sure, we got quiet.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the city council meeting for Marshalltown, Iowa. We're meeting in the city council chambers at City Hall, 10 West State Street, Marshalltown, Iowa. The date is June 22nd, 2026. The time is 5:30 p.m. Good evening and welcome to everyone here in the chambers and those joining us on the live stream. I'm Jeff Schneider, Representative at Large and Mayor Pro Tem. Tonight I'm presiding in Mayor Lottie Hoff's absence. Thank you for all being here. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Cahill. Here. Fonseca. Here. Mitchell. Here. Nichols.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Yepes Gomez.
Here. Okay. Public comment. Members of the public may make comments on any item that is not on the agenda during this time. The speaker shall approach the microphone, state their name and address. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless a longer comment is authorized by the mayor. The speaker shall direct comments to the mayor and the council as a whole. The mayor and council may provide a response to a public comment, but not engage in discussion or debate on items raised by members of the public. No action may be taken on items raised in public comments to comply with open meetings laws. So you're welcome to approach the microphone.
Joe Carter, 610 Elmwood Drive, here in Marshalltown. Haven't been here in a while, and it's nice to see all these shining faces today. Sorry I missed Mayor Lottie Hoff. As the leader of a local manufacturer who is pushing to grow our worldwide business, I say we need to develop more attractions in this community, continue to do that if we're going to be able to attract more employees to join us and live here, to help us grow to be a community of great wealth again. It's time. I also hope that we welcome the businesses to town rather than scaring people away because of some unrealistic fears. We've got this economy going. We've got this community growing. I love what is overall going on in this community. Let's keep pushing for more.
Thank you.
Lee Botter, Marshalltown, Iowa. I'm no longer going to give my complete address, but I do want to explain why. I realize giving your address is included in the instructions under the public comment and also in our council manual. However, this needs to be changed. It's a matter of safety for people. There is an out-of-state individual who's taken a quest to promote discord and division in our city. He claims to have friends in Marshalltown and will be moving here. After calling me on the phone and verbally threatening me, sending me an email where he wished me dead, writing defamatory, false statements that were published as editorials, and stalking me on social media, I can no longer be silent. I have taken the steps necessary to address the bully's behavior to protect myself, my family, and my friends. One of the first steps I took was a FOIA request with the city of Marshalltown. It appears that his friendships developed after his obsession to learn more about Gene Seberg. This led to multiple contacts over the years with our library director, current and past mayor. There were several conversations not related to researching one of our famous historical past residents. His activity was reported to the Marshalltown PD. Thankfully, Chief Jones called and advised him to stop all contacts, which he has ignored. He is now on the warpath to try and destroy myself and others because of our conservative beliefs don't align with his liberal mindset. Whether he has friends here or whether he'll move here is something I do not know. What I do know is he has an unhealthy obsession with Marshalltown and our residents. He has spread lies about and threatened people that he does not know. These attacks come after he has watched our council and library meetings and had discussions with his so-called friends. How does this relate to me not giving out my address? Most of us in this room and our Central Iowa residents watching online know that we are from the area, so there's no need to give our full address. Marshalltown is our home. By giving out our specific addresses, we are putting individuals, families, and businesses at unnecessary risk. I believe our residents in Marshalltown and Marshall County can and should engage in respectful conversation regarding any issue impacting our community and county. We will not and do not have to agree on all issues, but there is no room for name-calling, lies, violence, and defamation targeted at a group or an individual. Let us remember the lessons we learned and are not in our town era that started in 2012. Bullying behavior is never okay, and we must speak up and rise against it. Together, we have survived, we have thrived after multiple tragic events that have occurred in over the years. So let us all remember, together we are Marshalltown strong. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see anybody else approaching the microphone. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. But before we vote, we are removing item number 9, so that will be considered separately.
Mayor and council administrator comments.
Oh, sorry. I'm officially mayor. I skipped it. Before we do that, Rick Early in Utility has had a 10-year anniversary with the city, so congratulations. Is there any council comments?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I wanted to say that on my way around town doing errands today and over the last couple of days, I've been pleasantly pleased to see a lot of barriers up because our streets are getting their resurfacing done. I've run into that a number of times. I also want to commend our city and the utilities for the clean storm last week, in which there were trees across roads, and that was picked up very quickly. And finally, I wanted to say it's a real pleasure to go out past the mall and see the new store that's open, the Five Below, and the parking lot is no longer a reproduction of the moon. It is now smooth, and it is very nice and inviting for people to come and explore the new facilities at the mall. Thank you.
Nice comments. Thank you. Does any councilors have anything else? Okay, go ahead, Carol.
I just want to introduce our finance director. Cole O'Donnell will be taking Diana Steiner's place, who will be retiring in July. So Cole, welcome to the city of Marshalltown.
Thank you, Administrator Webb. I have plenty of experience in municipal government, having doing this longer than I ever thought I would. I am looking forward to working with everyone here. I met a lot of good people here today, and we've gotten kind of off to a good start, learning all the little different things that everybody does a little differently in each community. So I'm pleased to be here, and willing to sit down with any of you individually if you want to talk a little more and get to know each other. Okay.
Thanks. Welcome to town.
Thank you.
Okay, now the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have moved to approve in second.
Thompson,
want to clarify, we removed one item?
Item number 9 is removed.
Yes.
9 is removed.
Voting yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca, Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes. Okay, do I have a motion to approve item number 9 on the consent agenda?
I'll approve, yes. So we
Second.
can discuss it.
Yeah, of course.
Second.
Okay, any council comments?
Your Honor, I pulled it from the consent agenda because I wanted to hear if there were any comments about it or anything else we can do. There were some community ideas brought up, and I think that that's worth a shot to listen to and see if maybe we could do something else instead of the chain link, or if possible. So if there's opportunity and time to work on that or see, I would like input from Brad as well, if what the timeline is on this and when we would need an answer and when we would need to move forward with the chain link if we need to.
Okay, do you want to hear from Brad first? I think I was seeing
Yeah.
Heidi stand up
Yep.
as well. So, all
Yep,
right, Brad,
Brad.
you want to come up? Yep, Ben, sorry.
Sorry, Ben.
Can't be changing your name for this old guy.
I know. So, I was just gonna kind of go over a little bit of the change order for the fencing, and kind of go over that. Let's see. All right. Okay. All right. All right. I was just going to go over a little bit of the history of it. Again, just for everyone involved. The bridge was built in 1951. There's a bridge overlay project in the 70s. I think most that have lived in Marshalltown are familiar with 1997, where there was quite a few people locals that painted the bridge to try to keep it going. And then in 2005, there was concrete repairs, fencing, rehab. They put new posts and they repainted the railing at that time. Currently, we're finished with concrete repairs. The fencing we're now discussing. The thought was to repaint that, and then right now they're doing a bridge deck overlay. To go on about the bridge deck overlay, looking at that, the design was for 20% of Class A deck repair, and then as you can see in the picture, that was not the case. We're looking at probably around 75% Class A deck repair, and so that's kind of where I was gonna, just with what we got going on with the change order for the fencing. Right now, for our construction contingency, we have 162,000, and then for our change order for deck repair, right now it's looking to be 130,000. Right now, I know on the agenda is for 109,000 for replacing the fencing. I know the city will have to kind of either do one or the other, as we don't have, I guess, money in contingency for both. We would recommend that we do the deck repair over replacing the fencing. So I know if council would like to do both, we could potentially use GEO bond interest or road use tax fund. So and then I guess just to go along with, I think the reason to kind of holding off, I think there was some that were wanting to hold off the decision from the public. If we kind of hold off this decision of with the fencing, it will delay, the timely completion of the project. And then if we're to, instead of, painting, replace all the fencing, we need to get it to meet current design standards. And so I just have that one last slide for the UP or Union Pacific standards. It needs to be a 10-foot tall or 8-foot tall with an overhang. And it needs to be 2-inch mesh chain link or kind of equivalent. And then the DOT standard is a 4-foot tall vertical fence. And that's for bicycles. Currently, it is a 3.5-foot tall fence. So, with, painting the fence, that's part of the, being kind of grandfathered in, we wouldn't have to, bring it up to those, design standards by the UP or the DOT. So I know we were talking about replacing the fencing and kind of probably throw you a little bit of curveball with the overlay as well, or the bridge deck overlay. And so anyway,
Questions? Then?
Yeah.
Question?
Got questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First question. What was the original cost in the original bid for repainting, sandblasting and repainting the fencing?
That was 290,000.
The 109,000 was in addition to that.
Correct. So it's, yeah.
Alicia, could you show?
Yep.
So this is kind of showing the condition of our current fence and railing. So, and in fact, just step through them real slowly. You can see that it's degraded significantly. In fact, in many cases, it's rusted completely through the post. Now, some of these posts have been replaced, but especially on this last one, I want you to notice that hole in the bottom. Some of the new posts did not include that hole in the bottom, which is a weep hole, and therefore just collected the water and degraded at a faster rate. So the idea of painting over this and thinking we have a solution would be, in my mind, doing nothing other than making ourselves feel a little better. Because based on the shape of this metal, if we sandblasted that, all we'd be finding is more problems. This hasn't been tested. There's been not even a tap test to go see how many places are about ready to give up. So from my view, we either do absolutely nothing on these, including paint and sandblast, because I see painting over the top of this kind of stuff is an absolute waste of money and time. And using that money plus geo bonds or whatever to put in the chain link fence would be my recommendation to make it current standard. I'm not sure if the other choice is replace this. But if we replace this, we have to meet current standards. So that gives us, it can't be the way it is and do any good in my mind.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Hey, Ben, with that original quote for 290,
Yep.
for just the fencing, how many repairs were we getting in that? I mean,
There was no repairs. It was just for sandblasting and painting.
and then it's also going to be sandblasted on site and painted on site, correct?
Correct.
They're not taking it down and taking it to a shop.
No.
So we're going to invest $290,000, plus we don't know how many have to be, after they sandblast, then we'll know how many visually will have to be repaired.
Correct.
So realistically, we could jump over that 109,000 that we're already authorizing, correct?
There's a potential, yes, but
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure we all have this. So we really don't know what our cost is. We know what our cost is for the fence,
correct.
but what is Boulder charging us if we go with the fence, the chain link? What's Boulder charging us to take this off the viaduct?
So they're going to take the, I mean, it's just going to be 109 is for the new fencing. So if they're, they're going to remove the fencing and replace the fencing, there'll be 109 more.
Okay, so that 109 includes them taking this off.
So then, so it'd be 290 plus 109 is the total cost to replace the fence. But, the additional cost is the 109.
And then last question, if I may, is as an engineer, what's your estimate repairing these? What's that slow? Okay, if we do the fence, we're still going to make the October 1st deadline, correct?
Correct. They would have to make the October 1st.
Okay, and then if we repair this, as an engineer, what's your estimate of will we still make the October 1st deadline?
I know with this, they were requesting 15 additional days.
15?
Yes, correct. Just due to the fact that, they have not gotten, UP approval of how to remove it. So that will be kind of part of I think the cost that, I feel inflated cost of the contingency of that. So.
Thank you. Thanks, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Yes.
This is more of a comment than a question. I know in 1997, my family, my 6 kids, my husband all helped paint that bridge. His colleagues from the hospital, other community groups, other employment groups volunteered to help paint that. I think there's a great deal of sentimental value with that, as there is with any project where people come together to make our community better. And I know there are some people who have some additional, for the beauty and of our bridge there, we would like to keep something anything but chain link. But I also look at like this picture here, and it gets very concerning to me as we think about what we could be unfolding. And I think at one of our last meetings, somebody said, oh, please just try and find a better and aesthetic looking fencing. But I think I'd resign myself to saying, okay, if we need to be safe and we need to follow the design structures and we need to stay within some semblance of our budgeting, that I may have to give up that aesthetically pleasing look for the chain link look. That's kind of where I stand. Even though sentimentally I was like, no, please find a good looking way to keep that there because it has a lot of sentimental value and a lot of aesthetic value as well. Thank you.
Ben, I know, I think I was the one who said that, but you had reached out to a contractor who did provide better looking fencing options, but I don't think they got back to you in time for the meeting. Did they get back to you after the fact with any budgetary quotes or ideas?
I just have material cost with that, and that was $148,000 for just material. That
doesn't the entire span of the bridge for just the 10-foot nicer looking kind of rock.
Well, it'd be 10 foot in the the UP area, and then the rest of it would be the 4 foot, and then in that quote they don't really have. It's a unique bridge that the posts are attached to the underside, so attached to the beams underneath the bridge rather than the concrete. So I don't know what additional cost that was not in their quote. So that, I know that was some of the concern, or when we had talked about chain link, and trying to get it to be, the same cost. That was something Boulder brought up with the fencing contractor, is that those posts are, I guess, unique in that you can't just have a standard post to attach to. I guess if you kind of go to the back, Alicia, go to the last, or one more up, I think. One more. Yeah.
So you
just,
need some sort of custom fabricated mounting
yes,
to make it work.
so
Okay.
that was just kind of, they didn't really get into details. I was just kind of more trying to get a rough idea. They were the only ones to kind of reach out and let me know. So
I don't see any more questions for you
Your Honor.
directly. Oh, you got one
Yeah.
more? Go ahead.
Ben,
Yep.
so what would be the life expectancy of that black chain link?
I think it would be, we got, I think the warranty is 15 years. I know that most of the chain link that's, on 3rd Ave, that's been there since it's been built. So, I mean, I think, to think that we don't have to replace that in the life time frame is, I think, a example that I think chain link would be a good idea for this as well. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor, can I clarify one
Yes.
point? We are still, though, at the decision of saying we have to put this 75% overlay on,
Correct.
and we really can't do the chain link and the 75% overlay with our contingency fund. Is that correct?
Correct. That is correct.
So we either need to look at other funding sources, or we need to do nothing to the bridge, to the railings, which doesn't sound good either.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to provide more money to this project no matter what we do. So, Ben, if you could stay close. Heidi,
Okay.
I know you were getting up to say
Yep.
something if you want
Yep.
to come up.
Quickly, I just want to point out the other fence is 42 years old on 3rd Avenue.
Yep. Thank you.
Heidi DeLal, 1504 Brentwood Terrace. I appreciate you guys pulling this and just having more conversation. That's what I was really hoping to hear tonight, and just tonight even hearing more details has been helpful. So I was really hoping just to pause what was before you tonight and just moving ahead with Chainlink, knowing that there were still some other unknowns as far as your options. And so I just appreciate that additional conversation, and would be willing to help in any kind of conversation with city staff and looking at some other opportunities if that is a direction that you guys would like to take. As far as convening some other organizations, I know we've gotten a lot of feedback about, is there anything else that we could possibly do other than the chain link? And that was just simply the question, is if you had the ability to pause that decision tonight. There's others in the community that would be willing to help have some additional conversations to see what those other options could be. Thanks.
Is there any public comment on this issue?
Tim Bradbury, 12 North 10th Avenue. My question is, maybe I'm out of order. Is this why the other bidders had included and did a more thorough job checking this project out, making their bid, than having this person, Boulder Company, whatever, get the bid, but then have now, how many times have we had to have change of orders? Was the other bidders already including what the project was going to include to fix this?
Ben, before you answer, why don't we finish public comment here? Go ahead, John.
John Hermanson, 500 North 6th Street. And I just wanted to make a comment about, Councilor Cahill made the point that there's some sentimental value to the bridge, and I don't dispute that. But beyond that, just the fact that this bridge serves as such an important community gateway to our downtown. I think, you know, I was involved with the 13th Street revitalization, and there was a moment in time when the 13th Street, the Franklin Field ticket booths were going to be torn down and replaced with chain link fence. And that certainly was going to be the more economical option. But recognizing that intersection served as such an important gateway to the 13th Street district and to the Iowa Veterans Home, some of us came together. We took a pause. I think it was sort of at this same stage, actually, when the school board had approved the demolition, and we had a moment like this, and I'm really grateful that we did, because I think that gateway, that refurbished gateway, really has served not just as a gateway to the 13th Street district and to the Iowa Veterans Home, but really a gateway to progress down there. And I feel like this bridge is really similar, and it's the gateway to our downtown, which is really the heart of our community. And the gateway is an experience that you encounter as you're approaching this place, and what kind of feeling that you're afforded during that experience is significant. And it's first impressions. Yeah, we all drive over that bridge all the time, but when that new doctor that they were trying to court to, that Unity Point's trying to bring to town, or McFarland, or Marshalltown Company is trying to recruit someone, you know, and they're driving over that bridge for the first time, and chain link is going to give a very different feel versus what we've got there. And I see the pictures too, and I very much appreciate the challenging spot we're in here as a community, because that thing's in rough shape, and I recognize that everything has a limited lifespan. You know, we don't all live forever, but I do very much appreciate Councilor Fonseca for pulling this so that we could have this conversation, and I would be in favor of more pause, and if we can. I don't want to jeopardize the project, but I would sure love to see something, whether it's refurbishing this bridge or some other material that does this gateway justice. So thank you for the time.
I'm April Long, 911 May Street, lifelong Marshalltown resident. I take great pride in our community, and I'm always a champion for Marshalltown. I'm going to be a little contrary right now to what I'm hearing about the chain link fence. I do have the opportunity to drive over both the 3rd Avenue and the 6th Street Viaduct on a daily basis. In fact, I noticed it this morning coming across. Someone had tied some glitter strips to it. Otherwise, you never notice that it's chain link. It's galvanized, which reduces any maintenance, and it just disappears into the landscape. I love the look of black chain link for residences, for people, you know, to keep their dogs tied up. I don't think it's necessary for the fence. Safety really should be the #1 priority. Save that additional funding and make our streets better so that when people drive into town, they're driving over streets that aren't filled with potholes. Sure, if we had all kinds of money, it would be wonderful to do a beautiful black fence on both sides of the viaduct and really make it look stunning. Face it, we don't have that kind of money in this community. So I would urge the council to do something sensible and think about safety and the long run of the fence. Black's going to require maintenance. The galvanized is not. Thank you.
Okay, counselors, what do you want to do?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so what we heard tonight, if I heard correctly, is if we go with the chain link fence, which is what we're voting on tonight, to replace the existing railing, we're already pushing it back to October 15th. Correct, Ben?
Correct.
Okay, so the question for everybody in the audience and everybody at home and us up here is, if we pause this anymore, because I didn't hear anybody come up here and said, I'm willing to contribute $500,000 to repair the existing fence. And understand, if we change anything, it has to be the 4-foot and then the 10-foot or the 8-foot with the curl. So we either stay with the existing fence and repair it to have it grandfathered in. And if we pause it, now you're looking past October 15th. So I want to hear from someone to say, yeah, leave it closed until December 1st, and I'll pony up the money to fix the existing fence. And I didn't hear that tonight. So I'm telling you right now, my votes go to Chain Link because I don't think we can leave that viaduct closed past October 15th.
I haven't really weighed in yet. I mean, so Ben, if you'd come up again. So if we took a 2-week hiatus on this to get some more information about what a more attractive option could be, would that set the project back, till November? Or in your professional opinion, if we spend this 2 weeks talking with Boulder, talking with the fencing providers, could we still stay within the completion window or close to it?
I guess I don't know with that 109,000 with the chain link, that option where we got the 148,000 quote for just the material. I don't know what, they did not split it out for us to say, this is how much chain link material is going to be. This is how much our labor is going to be. So
what I'm asking is, in 2 weeks, do you think you could have that number for council?
I could ask Boulder and see where if they would be considering having. I guess I don't really have a whole bunch more options other than the option that I have from that Metal Co. From their quote. But I mean,
people knew we were serious about this. They'd probably turn these around fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Carol, can you weigh in? Is this something the city can tackle?
Yeah, our next meeting isn't for, I think, 3 weeks.
Actually, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 4th. So it would be 3-week wait. Well, I mean, we can do the best, the best we can to get some more information for council on what some other options would be and what the cost of those options are. I would imagine that it will delay the project somewhat. Yes. I don't know by how much.
And I know that Boulders and work with their fencing contractor right now to, I don't know what lead times or whatnot, if they've already, started that. Because I had kind of given them the, go ahead, because we were going to go with the chain link. So I can kind of.
We can get more information. If council feels like we need more to make this decision, we'll definitely do the best we can to get you more information for the next meeting.
The audience needs to be aware that you're probably setting the time frame back.
I think I would be willing to take a short pause to evaluate our options. At least we make an informed decision.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Would this give an opportunity to whatever community partners would want to step up to?
They'd have to act quickly, though.
Yep. Okay. So if anybody wants to step in, please act quickly.
Your Honor.
Yes.
One more clarification. Would we also by that time have the additional funding sources laid out for us on how this would be paid for and how this would be financed?
Yeah, I believe we'd ask staff for that in any motion we'd make tonight.
Thank you.
So how would you like to
So
do
you
this?
have a motion
Amend
and
the
a
motion?
second on the floor. You can
table?
amend it, or you could postpone it until the next meeting.
So postpone it till the next meeting. So I'd move to postpone it till the next meeting. At that point in time, either the community that is going to support it with funding, or the other options, and us having the financing established would be in place by that point in time.
Second.
I will second that and give you Greg's phone number when the viaduct doesn't open until December 1st.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a vote?
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca,
Yes.
Okay, passes. So on to motions.
motion to approve a 5-day special Class C retail alcohol license for the 13th Street District for the Red, White, and Blue celebration on July 3rd at West End Park.
So move.
Second.
Any council comments? Any public comments? It's your vote.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Next motion.
motion to approve a 5-day special Class C retail alcohol license for the Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce for Ragbri on July 22nd.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any council comments?
I'd make a comment that kind of related to Ragbri, but we are still looking for housing. We have a good community group here. If you have a carpeted floor and air conditioning and a bathroom, oh man, you'd be feeling like somebody just felt like they were blessed when they came in there and laid in there after going through July 22nd in Iowa. So we take volunteers. We're encouraging volunteers because right now we have more requests than we have housing. So please volunteer.
How do you sign up, Greg?
If you go to marshalltownragbri.com, there's a plan your stay, and underneath plan your stay, you can host and tell what kind of guests you want to host. You can anything from, you got a whole choice. So please go online and maybe even expand what you have. You might think you have one bed. Well, you probably have bed and carpet too. And anything else you have, it'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Any public comment? We got one coming.
Joe Carter, 610 Elmwood Drive. I'm going to play off that, Greg. We only have 40, and I've taken them from Ames. Is that, can we get a boo? We're taking them from Ames. 40 riders from Ames that are going to stay in our backyard. So not only will they take carpet besides the bed, they'll take grass.
Okay, vote please.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Passes. Next motion, please.
motion to approve a 5-day special Class C retail alcohol license for 13th Street District for the Harvest Market on September 11th on 13th Street in West End Park.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any councilor comments? This is a great event every year, so I'm looking forward to it again. Public comments? Let's have a vote.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
On to resolutions. That passed.
we have a resolution approving the city fee schedule.
Carol, would you like to say anything on this?
This
Can we
is
get a
actually,
motion?
yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, we probably do. Kind of call for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
to
second. When I'm not here to call the motion, it slows it down. Carol, would you?
This is actually City Clerk Hunter's item.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give a quick review here, and then if you have questions, the directors can come up. We do an annual review every June to make changes to our fee schedule effective July 1st. So staff are looking at things that need to be increased to cover staff time when issuance. So on city clerk permits, I'm looking to implement a $25 public use permit fee. Currently, there is no cost to apply for a public use permit, and it does take a lot of staff time to review these to get them approved, so it'll help offset the cost. We've added some additional items for event-specific requests like snow fencing and sandbags and things like that, we would be able to look at charging the hourly staff rate for delivery. We've had some requests for city water, so we would charge that at cost. We're adding some electrical receptacles with the downtown project. So we would do $50 for a 15 to 20 amp usage and $100 for a 50 amp usage. Park and Rec has a electrical power pedestal that's used down at West End Park for concerts and things like that. That would be a $100 usage fee for that and cover the electricity. And then we've also had some recent occurrence where the special events trailer was returned with not all the equipment in it, and it took staff time to properly put things back in. So we would charge an hourly staff rate if things were not returned properly. Public Works has gone through all their various permit fees and done some slight increases to cover staff costs there. Housing and Community Development made adjustments for the building and trade permit contract that council approved May 26th with Veenster and Kim, and then also found that there was no fee schedule set for illegal sign enforcement. So the first offense on that would be a warning, second offense would be a $25 fine per sign, and third offense would be a $75 fine per sign. Parks and Recs has a photo booth that is available for rent at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum for events that are held there. That would be a $250 cost. And then they're looking to increase park building rentals on the weekdays. So they have reduced the rental fees on the buildings for Monday through Thursday to hopefully spur some more interest in making reservations during the week.
Council comments?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Two comments. My first one is to Alicia. Alicia, what is illegal sign? Can you give me an example of what's an illegal sign? Is that political signs? Is it the guy that says house painting, that's on the corner?
Yes, where they're placed in unauthorized locations, or people are putting flyers on downtown windows, advertising events, things like that.
Okay. My second comment is I hate increasing these fees. I know everyone says, wow, they keep kicking us while we're down. We've got more fees and more fees, but we just don't have enough money to spread it around. And I appreciate the work that finance has done in the different departments to evaluate what it's costing us to provide these services and to try and move our charges more in line. I wish we could offer all of these for free, but as we know, we cannot. So I hope that we're keeping it within a usable fee. And I was glad to see that they're going to decrease some fees for park rentals during the week. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I?
Yes, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Alicia, will that signs pertain to garage sale signs up on utility poles?
Oh, Clayton is here.
Clayton Ender, Assistant Director, Housing Community Development. The illegal signs, it would not be content specific. We will remain content neutral, but it is in regards to placement of signs. That's oftentimes temporary signs that are placed out in the public right of way in violation of city ordinance. We don't allow them within the public right of way. So that could include things such as garage sale signs on utility poles.
Thank you.
Can I clarify that? I was under the impression that like political signs could be on the public right of way between the sidewalk and the street, that had been reordinanced a few years ago. Is that correct, or am I incorrect in my understanding?
Per the zoning code, no signs are permitted in the public right of way. We cannot categorize specifically based on content, as that is a violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution by the U.S. Supreme Court.
So, because I was under the same understanding as well for political campaign signs. So what I'm hearing tonight is that they'd have to be on the resident side of the sidewalk to be legal.
That would be correct.
Hey there, Your Honor, if I may.
Yeah, please.
So there's two things I saw in here I have a question about. One is if someone brings a sign in, if the public brings a sign in that they say was illegal, and what was, there's a charge after a while to get their signs back. How do we know it was removed if it was a legal sign or, you know, or illegal? How do you define that when someone from the public brings it in?
It would be my determination that it would have to be observed by city staff in the field as being illegally placed. We have to observe the violation.
So I want to make sure the public understands this is you're saying your staff, when you see a garage sale sign on a telephone pole or on the terrace, or even after the garage sale's over, you will have an address on it, so you will find them.
That would be the intent of the ordinance.
If a realtor puts their sign in a terrace, you will find them.
It doesn't matter what the content of the sign is. If it's illegally placed, it is an illegal sign. And they can be subject to fines. The first offense is a warning. That was intentional to try and promote education as a first line of defense.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
So will you have the police department pick them up if they see them, or is that something that you'll have to deal with yourself?
I have not discussed that with the police department, but it would be my intent that code enforcement staff would have that responsibility to enforce that.
If this passes, could we make sure to make a Facebook post about sign usage in town?
Yep, absolutely. We'll do
Yes.
some education around this.
Yes.
So, I'm pretty much in favor of this. The one question I do have is the outlet rental. I know I've been asked by people who put on some of the events here in town why it's so expensive to get a 110 outlet, and nothing ruins a festival more than 10 generators. And so I wonder, could there be like a mass outlet permit that maybe wouldn't be $50 each, where we would still cover our electrical costs and labor costs? Just go.
Heather, can you provide an opinion on that?
No, it's the birthday.
Good evening, Heather Thomas, Public Works. So I believe the $50 amount was set here a couple years ago, specific to a request over in the 13th Street District. With the electrical usage over there, there had been a history of some vandalism to the outlets, people plugging stuff into them that should not be plugged into an outlet. It did become a safety concern. So anytime that a request is made for electrical usage of an outlet, it's not just the cost of the electrical service itself. It is also related to staff going out, turning on a breaker at a master box to make sure that those are active. There's keys associated with which ones we're opening and which ones are not. They go back out after the event, check them, turn them back off. So there is a cost and staff time to do that, and I believe that is where the $50 came from. There's a difference if they're doing 1 or 4. And I'm not sure if that's the direction you're headed right now.
That's the gist. So if we wanted 10, could we cap it at, say, $250? So the event organizer might front that rather than $500, and then everybody's like, I'm just going to bring my Honda.
Gotcha. I think there's an opportunity there. If somebody is wanting multiple outlets, to potentially look at a quantity discount if that's what your direction is.
I still think I'd like to pass this tonight and bring that suggestion back. So I don't know if you need direction to do that. Would you like me to amend it?
We can just do it.
Okay.
I just have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
I'm really struggling with the signs on someone's terrace because I thought, run away, get Clayton. I'm like a couple other counselors because I was on the council when the Gilbert, Arizona case went to the Supreme Court, and that's the one that defined you cannot enforce content. So here's my problem. Public right-of-way is a sidewalk in the central business district. Those businesses can put A-frame signs on the public right-of-way on their sidewalk. But a homeowner on their terrace can't let someone put a campaign sign or something else on their terrace. I'm struggling with this, Clayton. I'm really racking my brain to figure out what signs we allow on the right-of-way. And now you're saying that there are no signs.
The only place that signs are allowed in the public right of way by zoning is the urban core zoning district. So that'd be downtown in the 13th Street district. So it's based on the zoning district, and they're not specific to content. It's about the zoning district in which the property is located.
Question. So Clayton, basically it's an issue of following the regulations as they're written. We can either adjust it to say the terrace is acceptable for, and we can define, well, you can't do content though, right?
But you could do like a time limit.
Or
It could be
something
out
like
there
that.
for X
So,
amount of days.
so the issue is we need to adjust the code if we want something different. You're just enforcing the code the way it's written.
That is correct.
And so we can make it whatever we decided to make it.
My fear is, Clayton, you and your staff, they're not, in my opinion, they got their hands full keeping up with all these other, I don't see them, I don't want their job to turn into the sign police. I just don't see the problem, that we're going to create a headache that for a problem that doesn't exist. Maybe I'm alone on this. I need someone to
We
be
get
sane.
we get complaints about signs in the public right of way all the time. We already get them and enforce
Yeah,
it.
and when we do receive complaints, we do go remove the signs, and I have instructed staff when they go remove all illegal signs within a plus or minus a block or so, so we're not targeting a specific sign. Or if anyone's violating in that area, they all need to be treated equally.
I would just ask what Jeff asked. We got to get this word out to everybody, because I really thought the Gilbert, Arizona Supreme Court case changed all this. So this is something I was advising people wrongly about.
Okay, is there any public comment?
Joe Carter, 610 Elmwood Drive. Never thought I was going to get up here 3 times tonight. I'm with Mr. Thompson. Do we really have a problem? I would say drop these fees until something gets straightened out. And I'm with Mr. Nichols on, let's find a new way to deal with this. We don't have a problem here, and we're trying to fix something that isn't a problem, is my opinion. Gosh, who cares if I don't know what the bad signs are, but if I got a garage sale and I put that up and I'm going to get in trouble, or I'm a realtor and I happen to put it up on a corner to notify people I got a house for sale somewhere down there, and I happen to be on the right of way, do we really care?
Linda Clark, 306 South 2nd Avenue, proud to give my complete address, and I do not care about it. I do care about this issue of signage, because I appreciate the Union Pacific Railroad, and I have a metal sign created by Sign Creation in my neighborhood, and I have it on my terrace. And you can see it coming and going. And I have had the UP employees give me a yay. And I agree with Mr. Carter. We need to leave some of this stuff alone. The signs for political signs are only allowed to be up for a certain amount of time, and then they're taken down. But a sign that I paid for, and I put it up, and I'm maintaining it, leave me alone and quit taxing me.
Doris Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place. It was years ago that I had a garage sale, and I did not know that I wasn't supposed to put the sign on the utility pole. And lo and behold, an officer came along and took all the signs down. Now, my particular sign was one that I'd bought. So I found the officer and got my sign back. So this is very interesting. I did not realize that you cannot put signs in the boulevard, on the terrace. How are people going to advertise their garage sales? I went to a garage sale last weekend and had an absolute blast. And yeah, don't be doing this stuff. I like the idea of the time. If there's a certain amount of time. If you have a garage sale, yeah, put your sign up, but then take it down. Don't leave it up there for days on end. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, you don't want to become sign police. That's a little bit crazy. Thank you.
Lane Perry, 28 State Street. I actually just had a comment about the fee schedule. That's changing. I totally get why we have to increase the fees just to make ends meet. It's something that has to be done. One thing I was kind of kicking around it to maybe help with this might be some sort of like application for a fee waiver or fee reduction for events that might be in the public best interest, and that could be determined by staff if they feel that they have the ability to meet that need and also reduce the fee for that event. That's just something I wanted to suggest.
Good evening, John Hall, Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce, 34 West Main Street. One component within the sign ordinance that I think Clayton touched on, but hasn't been broadly brought up, is related to downtown. We've had a number of incidents, most recently a couple of big ones, but has happened before where we have folks that come down and put signs on buildings, on windows, without permission, sometimes vacant buildings. We've had them hitting our main event signs. We've had them up on other signage, and just plastered around broadly. And I think having the city have some enforcement tools to be able to go back to those individuals, certainly I think the city has been good about trying to take the signs down or working with MCBD or us to get those signs off. But if there's no repercussion for those individuals that are bad actors and repeatedly offending against that, I think that's a component of the sign ordinance that is worthy of looking at and looking at some kind of enforcement for. That's my only opinion on it. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm okay with the fee schedule and illegal signs because we're not going to fix the terrace issue tonight because that's a zoning thing. So we can have that come back in 3 weeks and discuss that. So I guess if a sign truly is illegal, it's illegal. I'm okay with that. I want to bring back the zoning aspect of it and at least discuss changing that.
And I'd support that.
So we'll proceed with a vote on the motion as written.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca.
No.
Resolution passed. On to the next resolution.
Resolution authorizing an agreement with Eide Bailey LLP to extend audit services for the city of Marshalltown for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026.
Diana Steiner, Finance
We need a
Director.
motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Go ahead.
Since the city applies and receives federal funds, the city is required to have a financial audit for FY26. Our year end is up next week. So the timing of the FY26 audit supports extending the current agreement. The city's already beginning to gather information for the audit. Putting this out for bid will only take up more time, and then we won't be able to make our deadline again. So we're requesting that we go with Eide Bailey's quote of $77,000. This includes the REACT procedures and up to 2 major federal programs. Each additional program after that would be $7,000. And then if they exceed 500 hours, they'd bill us at $170 per hour.
Any council comments? Public comments? Proceed with vote. Oh, sorry, we got one.
Lane Perry, 20 East State Street. I again understand why we kind of have to stick with this one just because of switching over the finance director and everything. I did do a little bit of digging, and as far as I can tell, and as far as what we have available on the Marshalltown website, we've been with this company for a very long time. So I would just hope that we could maybe not necessarily promise, but plan to do a bid next year for this to go out, just so we can kind of see what else is available. Thanks.
Okay, a vote.
Fonseca? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
Yes.
Okay, next resolution.
Resolution approving contract change order number 1 for the 2026 street rehabilitation project, HMA project number STR 26002, an increase of $574,092.65.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Good evening, Heather Thomas, Public Works. So this item is in front of you, kind of an extension of our discussion at the bid award just 2 weeks ago. So this project came in with very favorable bids. And with those bids, the direction was to go ahead and extend the project and capture additional streets work with this project. So I would like to remind everybody that we do have a website on our homepage. If you go to Community Down to Construction, where this project, as well as other projects impacting our road right-of-way, is being kept updated this year. So this project is the Streets in Blue. And what we've tried to do is using the same principles we did to initially select those streets, but with one additional one where we're extending the ones we were already working in so that the contractor can continue with the equipment that they have in that area. So this project and change order is for just a little over $500,000, and that is related to the funds available still in the project budget. And the areas we're targeting here is on First Street. We're extending that 2 blocks down an additional 2 blocks. We also have a section on 4th Street, 5th Street, and Nevada that's being included in this request for a change order, and then a couple of 4 blocks tying in this area down by Ferner, 1st Street, and 2nd Street as well. So during design and also bid, I had talked a little bit about some of these streets being borderline, whether or not they're needing to have a higher level of rehab versus just a mill and overlay. And I just want to give everybody a fair heads up that the area, especially in the 4th Street, 5th Street, and Nevada area, those were definitely some on the more borderline than others. So as we get into those are a higher potential of needing to do some additional patchwork underneath when we do get to mill. Just in general, as a project update, we are trying to post periodically through a news flash an update on where we are with construction, doing a little bit more frequently on our City of Marshalltown Facebook page, and then also on this page as well. If you scroll down further, there is a section devoted to this project that talks about each street and the dates for milling, cleanup, patching, asphalt interlayer. So just in general, right now, the contractor finished milling up in the 1st Street and Lynn Street area earlier today, moved over to Boone Street and 14th Street this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, they will be working in Norris Place, 16th Street and 17th Street. And then moving over to 4th Street, 5th Street, and Nevada, likely late Tuesday into Wednesday and Thursday. Because of the condition of 4th Street, 5th Street, and Nevada, that one will be immediately milled with the intent of the asphalt interlayer going down the next day. We are not comfortable with a lot of traffic on that street after we get that first milling lift up. So as you look around at some of the streets that have been milled to date, those streets are still open to local traffic. So if you have a driveway within those areas, you may go in and use your drive. We're asking everybody else to stay out of those areas to minimize the amount of traffic on them. But we are continuing to proceed. We have asphalt patching material going down tomorrow. And again, that interlayer lift, which is kind of the critical lift, will then be starting up on Thursday. With that, I ask for your approval tonight on change order 1, and I would open it up to any questions.
Your Honor, not a question, just a thank you. I'm very pleased that we're able to, on the same budget, cover more streets, get more done. I like seeing this progress, and I like hearing this progress. So good work on our engineering staff. Great. Manat did a fantastic job on the bid, and so we support this and are very encouraged by this.
Yeah, following up on that, the communication's been very good. I've been following it on Facebook and the news blast, so thank you. Anybody else up here?
Honor?
Yes.
There with the streets right now that are closed off. I know that, people, when they get there, they might drive through it. Is that okay? Or just to let the public know? I know we're not supposed, but
Yeah,
you know,
so
running
right
around.
now, if you live and have a driveway within the streets that have the road closed signs up, we are allowing that traffic to go in to access their driveway. We are trying not to cut people off the best we can. There are a couple of sections, one in particular on South First Ave, that's going to be a full depth mill. I believe there's 5 driveways associated with that one block stretch. They will not have access to their driveway when we do a full depth mill on that stretch. The biggest thing is please don't park on the street. Once we start milling process, until we get that asphalt interlayer on, no parking. Not only is the contractor doing door hangers on the actual residences, we are also going out a couple times a day and putting these no parking notices on any vehicles we see parked on the streets. As well. But as far as local immediate access to their driveways, yes, that is okay. As we get going with the asphalt work, one of those steps is we apply what's called a tack down. It's like a black oily mix that will get on your cars. That will transfer onto your tires, which as you leave the work zone will transfer on the adjacent streets. It is what it is. You will see it. Just be a heads up and just be aware that that is going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to follow up and with kind of what Councilman Nichols says. I want to thank all of you because nothing has made me happier in the last 2 weeks to get calls complaining about the road closed signs. Because we all get calls where people are complaining, and I'm getting calls saying, it's a maze to get home. And I love that because we're actually fixing these streets now. And so I just say, yep, you're welcome. So thank all of you for those calls.
Okay, any public comment?
Hello, David Seuss, 510 North 2nd Street. I was raised in Marshalltown, came back in 2014, hit my first pothole within the first couple of years, damaged my car. So we go from 2014 till now, and it feels like we're just taking care of the problem this year. So my question is, what does the future look like? Are we going to have another 10-year wait for road maintenance, and what happened to the money that was in the past 10 years for maintenance? Where did the money go? I don't really want to come to the meeting, but I decided to come here because I can't really complain and not do nothing about it. So that's why I'm here today. But I'd like to hear an answer on that.
We talked about our road use tax budget a few meetings ago, so I would encourage you to go to YouTube and watch that presentation.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say that our plan is to do a little bit of something every year now moving forward. We have some road use tax, like Councilman Schneider just said, there's information out there. The mayor has put a committee together. Is that, you guys are, I think they're starting meeting next week or next month. And
Next month.
there is a plan moving forward. So every year we should see some barricades. So I'll get a call next year. So.
Okay, let's have a vote.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes. Resolution passed. So on to discussion items.
Our first item is a discussion on potential city code amendments pertaining to animal keeping regulations.
You want to do public comment first, the written public comment?
I have some items to read. Okay. First comment was submitted by Austin Gillis, Executive Director of the Animal Rescue League. Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing me to submit this statement. I'm unable to attend in person due to a previously scheduled board meeting. I want to provide research and factual information to help on tonight's discussion. There has been public commentary suggesting that allowing chickens in city limits would help families save money. In reality, owning chickens costs significantly more than purchasing eggs. Feed, bedding, housing, veterinary care, and winter preparation all adds up quickly. The idea that backyard chickens reduce household expenses is similar to saying gas is expensive, so I'll buy a horse. The cost of care far outweighs the perceived savings. Homesteading is a lifestyle choice, not an economic solution. It is also important to consider the impact on animals already living in our community. Marshalltown has a large feral and community cat population as well as stray dogs. Chickens are prey animals. A feral mother cat trying to feed her litter will naturally hunt a chicken, but people will hate her just for trying to survive the natural food chain. Normally well-behaved dog may see a loose chicken running, flapping as a chasing toy. When instinct takes over, the dog ends up blamed for placed on bite confinement, even though it was acting on natural behavior. We also have foxes, raccoons, and possums that will kill poultry. Without clear evidence, these incidents are often blamed on neighbors' pets, creating conflict and confusion. Introducing prey animals into residential neighborhoods increases the likelihood of these situations. It also creates additional operational demands on city and its resources, including the need to respond to loose chickens, animal tax, and confinement requirements. There has also been discussion about grandfathering. I want to be transparent. In 2005, I was deployed to Qatar and was not living in Marshalltown. I do not have firsthand knowledge of the discussions at that time. However, based on the research I've been able to find, the city council voted in 2005 to prohibit chickens in city limits and indicated that grandfathering would not apply. Even if it had, no chickens from that time would still be alive today. I offer this only as information that I have been able to locate, not as a definitive historical record. I want to be clear about my position. I fully support Appleberry Farm being allowed to keep chickens. They operate a farm-based business on the edge of town, have adequate space, and provide educational opportunities for children and families. Rezoning and amending zoning for the specific property is a reasonable and responsible solution. However, allowing chickens citywide for the general residential use is not advisable. It creates avoidable conflicts between prey animals and predators, increases nuisance and enforcement issues, and places strain on city resources. I respectfully urge the council to consider a targeted zoning solution for Appleberry Farm while maintaining the current prohibition of poultry in residential areas. I have another comment from Brian Hunter, 1706 South 7th Avenue, apartment 103. Dear Mayor and City Council, I'm writing as a renter and a resident of Marshalltown to respectfully submit my support of option 2 regarding the keeping of poultry and domestic fowl on Appleberry Farms property at 2402 West Main Street. I regularly purchase eggs from Appleberry Farms. Their eggs are noticeably higher quality than what is typically available at the stores, and my family and I value having access to local fresh food source. As a renter, I do not have the ability to keep chickens, so Appleberry Farm provides an important benefit to our household and many others in the community who seek better quality and locally produced food. I believe option 2, amending Chapter 90 of the City Code to allow the keeping of poultry or domestic fowl on residential properties of 2 acres or more, is the most reasonable and fair approach. This change would allow responsible animal keeping on larger residential lots citywide, consistent with existing rules for livestock, support local agricultural and small-scale food production without granting a special exception to just one property, and preserve the overall intent of the current residential zoning rules while recognizing that not all residential properties are the same size. I respectfully urge the council to direct staff to move forward with option 2. Removing the poultry from Appleberry Farms would eliminate a valuable community resource that many families like mine depend on. I hope the council will choose a solution that supports both reasonable land use standards and local food access. Thank you for your time. I have a third comment from James and Martha Landmark, 1213 South 12th Avenue. Please allow Appleberry Farms at Marshalltown to continue to have chickens on their property. It is essential to their small business, which we understand has even been included in the Chamber of Commerce publications as a Marshalltown tourist attraction. It doesn't seem that chickens would bother nearby residents, mainly because Appleberry Farms is on the edge of town, has a large enough property to house chickens, and is not near enough of other properties to cause problems, and perhaps has already been grandfathered in, ? As owners of the Marshalltown in-town acreage, we have horses grandfathered in for close to 24 years until last September. We are mentioning this as an example because our neighbors love watching our horses in the pasture. We never had any complaints about them. Therefore, as long as the chickens at Appleberry Farm are well taken care of, which they quite certainly are, there should be no complaints about them. Many people could instead realize their usefulness and benefits, as we see in other nearby towns that allow them. Appleberry Farm is unique and well loved by Marshalltown citizens and others afar. Why remove an important aspect of successful business that is appreciated by and serving the public? We think that there is definitely more pressing issues that the city needs to address.
Thank you for reading those. Clayton, do you want to give a little overview of the agenda item?
Thank you. City staff was made aware that Appleberry Farms was keeping poultry on their property, which would be in violation of Chapter 90 of the city ordinance. We do have a prohibition on the keeping of poultry and domestic fowl on all residential zone properties in the city limits, regardless of size, only permitted on agricultural zone properties. This was slightly updated this past fall to clarify that it was agricultural zone properties only, but largely remained consistent with the original adoption from 2004, which established that prohibition. And I did find records in meeting minutes that indicated the intent was no grandfather clause was tied with the keeping of poultry or domestic chickens, so there would be no grandfather status associated with it. Upon becoming aware of this, it was communicated with Appleberry Farms that the chickens would need to be removed. They were provided 30 days to do so, and within that time, this discussion item was brought forward. And certainly the city council could direct us in several manners. I provided you 3 options. Option 1 is no changes to city code. We proceed with enforcement as is. The chickens or other domestic fowl would have to be removed from the property. Option 2 would be an amendment to Chapter 90 pertaining to animal keeping. This would be an amendment that would apply citywide. I did provide you 2 maps highlighting properties that are 2 acres in size or larger. On one of them, that's everyone, regardless of zoning, and then I did a smaller one that is residentially zoned properties only. The reason 2 acres was selected is we do allow for livestock keeping within city limits on properties 2 acres or larger, and not located within 200 feet of an adjacent residential dwelling. So that would be keeping of animals such as horses, cows, sheep, goat, other type of livestock animals. But poultry and domestic fowl is a separate category and is explicitly prohibited under current city code. Option 3 I presented would apply specifically to Appleberry Farms, so it would be a targeted amendment. However, we do have a zoning text that says agricultural zone properties have to be a minimum 25 acres in size. Appleberry Farms is 20 acres in size, so we would have to do a zoning text amendment to allow for smaller minimum lot size for agricultural, and do a comprehensive plan amendment because we show on the comprehensive plan future land use of residential, low density residential on the property, and we would have to do a rezoning from its current designation of low density residential to an agricultural zoning. So those are the 3 options presented before you this evening, and we're seeking direction from City Council on how you would like to proceed on this topic.
So a couple of questions.
Yes.
First question, I thought Appleberry Farm was 19.5 acres.
If you exclude the public right of way, but they do own it, but it's easement, so it's counted within their lot area. And we could 20 acres, 15, 10, pick a number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clayton, how many lots are the 2 acres? What's the number in the residential zoning?
I should have memorized that number, and I apologize. I do not know that.
I thought I had it from Haley, and I have the 5, 10, and 15 quantities. So the 5, I was surprised. There's 124 lots in Marshalltown in the city limits that are 5 acres or more. So the 2 acres has got to be, I'm guessing, what do you think? Close to 170?
Sorry, I think Alicia and I were fighting over the map there to open it up. Yeah, I think you're about accurate there on the
So
quantity.
I'll tell everybody where I'm at. I'm leaning towards revising the section 90.004 and going to 5 acres for all animals. And then we'd have to grandfather in those that are two currently that do have, you know, what are they? Sheep, whatever your list is.
Yeah.
Cattle, sheep, goats, horses, mules.
Yeah, and to be clear, that the livestock is the code section right before poultry at 003. So it'd really be amending two code sections there.
So I guess where I'm leaning is, when I saw the number for 5 acres and it's 124 and your number for 2, there's a lot more lots. I think I'm just saying 5, but for everybody's information, 5 acres, there's 124 residential lots, 10 acres, 89, and then 15, it only drops to 80. So it's not a big change between 10 and 15 acres. And 20 acres, there's only 4 in residential. So just where I'm at is at 5, changing it to 5 acres. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, go ahead.
Clayton, so the Appleberry Farms is zone ag right now, right?
They're zone low density residential.
Okay, so with doing option 3, it would be, you know, changing their zoning to ag, and then they would be able to have the chickens and the ducks and everything. So, right?
Yeah, if it was
Okay.
zoned agricultural, it would be permitted.
Okay, so I think they're a staple in the community, and they've been around since I think the 90s, right, or earlier than that. So yeah, yep. And so I even have gone there as a child, and maybe many of us have too. And I was actually there a couple weeks ago, and my son and I were actually playing with the little baby ducks. So I don't think I would not, you know, support them not having the ducks and the chickens and everything. So I would, Your Honor, I would motion to move forward with option 3.
Motion, is there a second anywhere?
I'll second that.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
Clayton, please help me here. Now, if we move forward with that, and John Boston may want to weigh into this, now we're talking about spot zoning, which is what we tried to get away from with the comprehensive plan. So now you're talking about putting a ag zoning in the middle of low density residential, correct?
We're certainly flirting in that territory pretty close. There's an argument to be made against spot zoning due to the historical usage of the site. But beyond the historical usage, it would otherwise be considered spot zoning.
Your Honor, if I may.
Go ahead.
If council remembers, a year ago, almost to this date, we had a Haley Aarons come up here and wanted to have chickens in her property. I don't know if she's here tonight. I couldn't find her number to get. But I think we need to allow more chickens on less acres to satisfy everybody, not just sectioning one person out from another. And then if there's a problem, then we can deal with the problem later. But I know the metro areas allow 23 chickens per acre, so that might be something we'd look at. We do need to have a quantity limit. Thank you.
Marco, go ahead.
Yeah. So it sounds like basically it's just targeted or fixing it systemically, right? That's kind of the direction that we want to choose here. Yeah, I guess I'm with you, Councilor Mitchell and Councilor Thompson now. Yeah, maybe just kind of targeting residential and moving it to 5 acres.
Your Honor, I agree. I think, and I assume you're talking option 2, changing the acreage amount.
Yeah, and looking into 5 acres, right?
I agree.
Well, yeah, that's not the current motion.
Yes, it's not the current motion, but that would be something I would support more than the spotting of picking out specific areas that we're allowing it in.
I haven't weighed in yet. I'm generally not in favor of chickens. at all. But if we could put the cap as close as we can to what Appleberry's farm acreage is, I think that would be a sufficient land size where maybe I could be on board with it. So I don't know, 15, 16 acres would be the minimum. I don't know if there's a way that we could more generally specifically target it. I'm not sure. John, I don't know if you'd like to make any comments. You'd be welcome to come up and tell us what you think from a zoning perspective.
John Boston, 1710 Rainbow Drive. I'm currently chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. You've got my inputs. I sent them to Greg and I think he distributed them. The reason I was saying in my inputs to you guys was chapter 90 is if you can keep it all in there, then you get rid of having the planning and zoning go through a public hearing and everything, and you guys go through everything all over again, which takes more time. One thing I'd like to caution you on is put some limits on quantities, because on 2 acres, I can raise 350 feeder pigs. So, be careful. I grew up on the farm. I know what that smells like. So, what's that?
What's it smell like?
It smells like those confinement places that go on down Highway 30 when you hit a warm day in the summertime. So, but my grandmother, when I read the section on livestock, my grandmother was born in 1905. And I remember the story she told me growing up on South 8th Avenue here in Marshalltown. They had a horse, they had a milk cow, they had chickens, and they had a pig. And the pig ate the slop from the house. And when it got up to about 200 pounds, they butchered it and they bought a baby pig and raised it up to 200. So they went through that cycle. I mean, that language from the livestock section reminds me of the late 1800s, early 1900s. And so just a memory segment there that you might think about a little bit. But I gave you guys some numbers, but play with the numbers all you want. That was just something for you guys to take target at. So thanks.
And one thing I did mention is I would also like to make it the same for all animal types. I know we'll have to have the 2 different sections in 90, but is there any public comment on this issue?
April Long, 911 May Street. I used to live in the country and I raised chickens for a while, so I do know a little about chickens. A quick Google search of chicken ordinances around us. Des Moines, urban chicken ordinance allows up to 30 fowl on residential parcels under 1 acre and up to 50 on larger lots. As someone who owned chickens, I can tell you 30 is way too many. They also restrict roosters. They don't allow you to have those unless you get written permission from all your neighbors. And the coops and runs and the cages must be 25 feet from any neighbor's property. So there are some built-ins to protect neighbors. The other, the city of Ames does not prohibit keeping chickens. They just want to make sure that they're kept in housing that's safe, sanitary, and size appropriate, that they're fed and watered and given veterinary care and kept reasonably quiet. I would move that Appleberry Farm, being close to 20 acres, should be allowed to have their chicken flock. They are a benefit to the community. Now, as for chickens in town, closer residential areas, I think they have to have at least 1 acre, if not 2 acres. And there should be some kind of structure on their housing and their confinement so that they're not running around free, allowing all of the feral cats to chase them. That's a whole nother problem the city needs to deal with. And again, as someone who used to own chickens, I can tell you, if you're not completely dedicated to raising chickens and spending the considerable amount of money that it takes to raise chickens and cleaning out the coops, most people aren't really going to want to have chickens in town. I think it's a nice fantasy, but the reality is most people are not going to want to have them,
or they're going to have them briefly and they're going to be, a predator's going to get them, or they're going to get tired of the maintenance and keeping up with them. But Appleberry Farm and people that really want to have chickens on a small scale should be allowed to. You're kind of backwards if you don't allow them. Thank you.
Joe Darter, 2225 West Main Street Road. Kelly Mason, 2402, owner of Appleberry Farm. In first place, I thank you for your comments. Thank you guys for your considerations. Thank you for ones of you that have stopped out in the past couple weeks since this came up. And we're relieved and happy. And the comment that was just made is if anybody wants to raise chickens, they're crazy. Okay? And if anybody wants to take care of 1,000 apple trees, they're really crazy. So you're talking to a couple crazy people with chickens, and maybe they make a little money. Maybe people get good quality eggs. But more people come in the past 2 weeks just to look at the chickens and hold a baby duck. And they've gone inside the store and they've bought other goods that's made up for it. And half those people are from out of town, out of state, and they've gone into the city. Maybe they couldn't get from north side to south side. But we brought petitions, names, signatures, and quantity that we'd like to submit. And I think they're still being signed. Not that we feel that we need them from what we've heard tonight, because the considerations from you guys, everybody that's come out especially, is greatly appreciated. And we, together as a team, partnership, we do have a relief valve. We have another farm outside the city. So we don't plan to have hog confinement chickens. We plan to have a good looking group of chickens that people come in and can view. And we do sell some of them. But it's not just chickens. There's ducks, there's turkeys, geese, and we sell alder eggs, which you can't buy any other places. And quite a few people in town like those products. So we feel that we're doing a service not only in the food we supply, but also the vision that we give Marshalltown, being on the west side, the west gate into town. So again, we're just thanking you for your consideration. Kelly?
I just want to say that I agree with April. I don't want to be the only one that's allowed to have chickens. I think that, like she said, if you really want to have chickens, you're going to take care of them, or it's not going to last very long. And if you have enough land, it doesn't make sense that you can have all these other animals, but no chickens. They do provide a source of eggs, or they can be pets. I mean, I think I think a reasonable solution would be to allow so many chickens per acre at 2 acres, or whatever you choose that would be. And I guess that's all I have to say.
Your Honor. Kelly, do you want to present your petition?
I'll take your petitions if you got them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Please, no feedback like that. It's against the rules. Nope. Yep, I know who it is. Thank you.
Honor? Honor?
Yes, Melissa.
I have Clayton.
Yeah, go for it.
Clayton, so could you explain the class description of res on ag land? What is that?
That is for tax assessment purposes assigned by the county tax assessor. So the property is taxed as agricultural with residential on agricultural Zoning is assigned by the city.
Mhm.
The tax assessment is assigned
Of
by
the
the county.
Got it. Okay.
That's a common
So
area
the
where people
tax-
get
Okay.
confused because they don't always align exactly.
Okay.
We have cases where something might be currently used agriculturally but zoned residential, such as this, and you get that disconnect.
Okay. I guess I just haven't really seen that much res on ag land. So I mean, could you think of any other properties kind of similar that have that title, that description?
They're probably going to be more located in unincorporated county. Think your traditional homestead
Yep.
on a quarter section.
But within city limits, like,
I would have to look. I can't think of any off the
Okay.
top of my head. I'm sure there are some, but I don't know off the top of my head.
okay. So it is very, very unique, I guess, in a way. So, I mean, I would like to, I mean, I am feeling that we want to move towards letting the entire community have the chickens and the domestic fowl. 5 acres, right, was what we're kind of saying. So I would be open to amending my motion and moving forward with option 2, and the minimum being 15 acres in city limits.
Do I have a second on that? So it sounds like you're more or less rescinding C and substituting B, plugging in 15 acres.
I'll second.
Okay. More council discussion?
You know, I guess
Yes.
I'm gonna say that 5 acres, I think there are some hidden homesteads, properties in town that that want chickens, that they're sitting on 5 acres or, 6 acres or 7 acres. So, and like Councilman Mitchell said, if it becomes a problem, a future council can go back and up that number.
Well, we have a motion and a second for 15 acres, so let's have the vote.
Mickles,
No.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
No,
Yepes Gomez,
No.
Cahill,
No.
Fonseca,
Yes.
Mitchell,
No.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to set it at 5 acres. And I guess I'll cap it at 30 chickens, just to give a number. Somebody can amend that. So 5 acres on residential property, capped at 30 fowl.
What about the other critters?
That's already, I guess you want that in a separate motion or you want that in this one?
One vote.
Yeah, so we can tackle the paragraph above it in the next one. Oh, you want one vote? Oh, so all animal, all keeping of livestock, so 90.003, 90.004, 5 acres. And then now you're asking if I want to cap the other animals. No, I don't. So I guess I'm gonna change that. I'll make a motion 5 acres, sorry, Alicia, 5 acres for both keeping livestock and poultry or domestic fowl. And we'll worry about the number when the neighbors complain.
May I, Your Honor? We can also do a little research here. I don't know how many chickens Appleberry Farms has, so I wouldn't want to put something in place that would limit their ability to maintain what they have. So we can bring back something, do a little research on that and bring it back to you when you actually vote on the ordinance change.
Not hearing a second out there yet.
Second.
I would kind of like to exclude roosters from this. So I'd like to make an amendment to exclude roosters.
Second.
Anybody else want to take a crack at this? I still don't think it's enough. It's too few acres. Marco, you look like you're thinking.
I'm thinking.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Take a vote.
Or the
All
amendment.
right, are we
For the-
voting on
For
the
the
amendment
amendment,
first?
yes,
Okay.
sorry, yes.
So the amendment is to exclude roosters. Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
No.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
No.
Yepes Gomez.
No.
I don't think it failed.
No, it passed.
It did.
4-3.
Okay. I can't count. All right. Okay. Back to the amended motion.
Motion to allow 5 acres on residential property, keeping of livestock, poultry, and domestic fowl. Fonseca,
No.
Mitchell, to allow the keeping of livestock, poultry, and domestic fowl on 5 acres on residential property.
No.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
No.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
That passed 4-3.
And Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to extend the time for Appleberry Farm, because the 30 days is going to terminate on them to remove their chickens before we do 3 readings of this ordinance change coming up. So I'd make a motion to extend their time to remove their chickens until after the 3rd reading.
Can this
If
be,
it goes wrong.
can this be administratively extended rather than a motion?
Yes, I can
with
administratively
you?
extend that.
I'm fine with that if you guys are willing to do that.
I would stay in the enforcement. Yes, we would administratively extend that out.
So Kelly, you get to keep your chickens. And we'll do the next 3 meetings, we will read to change the ordinance to allow you to continue to keep your chickens or not. You get to keep your chickens for what? 7 more weeks. Right?
Changing the ordinance, so she gets to keep them, period.
Okay, moving on. Former hospital building assessment, and if you were just here for chickens, you don't have to stick around if you don't want, so. Yeah.
Okay,
ahead.
so the Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce is proposing that we fund a phased professional assessment of the former hospital property, which the city was recently awarded title to. That assessment would begin with a preliminary review of the building's condition and some potential options for the building or for the site. So with that, I'll turn it over to John Hall with the chamber to explain the proposal.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. John Hall, 34 West Main Street, Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce. Congratulations to you all for owning an old hospital property here in town. So what we've got here is really just looking at a partnership proposal with you all, knowing that you all were going to have to take on the cost of not only acquiring the property, but likely significant demolition into the property. We simply evaluated who had expertise throughout the state in not only working with older historic properties such as this, but also navigating potential tax credits and major redevelopment projects of this size and scale, and trying to figure out how can we best support you all in this endeavor. And so what we've got is a multi-phased contract with an engineering firm that Basically, it not only analyzes the property, but would actually take us to a full development proposal should there be any redevelopment potential for the property. So what's in front of you tonight is really just an ask for authorization to be able to go onto the property for the engineering firm. That at the end of the day, it's not going to be anything that has cost for the city, but the hope is that when we can come back in approximately 10 weeks is the estimated timeline for this, which probably aligns with the most aggressive schedule for getting a demolition in place anyways, that, instead of doing a full demolition, perhaps there is some structural integrity left, perhaps there is some redevelopment potential of some of the buildings that would be worth doing selective demolition instead of a full site demolition. But we'd look to bring that first phase back to you and have the conversation about, is it worth looking at selective demolition, or is it better to just clear the entire site? Again, our plan is to really analyze for redevelopment potential. There's some cool, unique pieces inside of, especially the original building. The last I was in it was in March 2025. So I don't know the current condition of some of those pieces, but the original terrazzo tile floor is still in the original hospital building. I doubt that is damaged in any significant way. And so if there's any opportunity to reuse any components of this building, I think it's worth taking at least a little bit of time to review.
Your Honor. Oh,
Let's go ahead.
ready for questions? Okay. Thank you, John. Two questions off the bat. One of them, this is only for the hospital facility, not the old McFarland building, because we don't own that.
Correct. Yeah. No. Yep.
So it's talking about the hospital, and
Correct.
I think that we were also deeded the primary health building that is on the corner, the southeast corner.
Yeah, and that this would not touch that building.
Okay. Okay.
The recommendation on initial kind of review and overview is that the single story buildings don't have the same reuse value in terms of being able to leverage potential resources into making an overall redevelopment project feasible, that the relative cost of leveling those buildings and building new on them is effectively close to the same. Now, that's not to say that you all couldn't post just that building and find a user for it, but looking at the overall redevelopment potential of the site, this is really focused on the hospital structure itself.
And then my second question is, you described this as a 4-tier assessment. So if the engineering firm gets in there and in the first 2 weeks or whatever it takes to do tier 1 assessment, they say, oh, there is not a thing in there that we think we can save, then we've only paid them the tier 1 fees and we move on with a plan from there. Is that correct?
Correct. So the first tier is a 10-week assessment. So the overall 4 tiers is approximately a 1-year assessment. It's a little shorter than that, but it depends on deliberation time between them. But more or less, we'd come back in 10 weeks and say, okay, here's what they're saying. Again, hopefully there are a couple of buildings that seem to have some structural integrity to them that would fit within kind of modern development standards for what it looks like to put in, single bedroom or two bedroom, type apartments, that a development plan could be put forth if there would be consideration of selective demolition. And that would then hopefully spur some conversation about, do we carry this forward, or is the city more positioned to just want to demo the site and look at it? The goal is hopefully to save the city dollars on it. If it comes back that only one of those buildings is really structurally feasible, but it's going to take a whole bunch of shoring up in order to make it a redevelopment potential, it might not be worthy of consideration. It might just be cheaper overall to demo the entirety of the site and clear it. We're just really wanting to provide that analysis and say, especially with like the original phase of that, or the original building, we'll never build that again. Like that will never exist in the way that it does. And so if there's any potential to save it, I'd rather take a look at it, spend, a few $1,000s now to take a look at it, and have a better assessment on it, than just my eyes or anybody off the street's eyes, and say, can this be worked? Can this be saved? Is there potential here?
Your Honor, I have one more final question, I promise.
Okay.
If the chamber doesn't do this, then it comes back to us to figure out what to do with it, correct? I mean, I don't know if we
Yes,
have.
unless council would direct me otherwise, it's my intention to continue to pursue what demolition would look like for this facility. So getting the environmental assessment done of the site, developing specifications for demolition. So I don't know how long that will take me, but it's my intent to, in parallel to this study, to continue to pursue those options.
Yeah, point of order. Yeah, Counselor, Mayor, whatever, Your Honor. So this, what you're proposing is the chamber wants to have the opportunity to access the buildings so we can have an assessment done.
Correct.
And so that's on the chamber, it's a parallel effort to what the city is doing. And so I would support this. This just sounds like the chance to see if there's an opportunity. And if there's not, we keep moving ahead. I don't feel incredibly blessed that we have this hospital, but we need to take care of it because it's clearly a hazard at this point.
Anybody up here like to make a motion to let them proceed with using staff?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have someone here from INS Group?
No, I don't have it. So it's actually ISG is the engineering firm, and I don't have anybody here this evening to speak about it.
So really, our only risk is just our insurance that's already on the building. That's our only risk. Is you're not going to strip copper, are you, John?
I'm hopefully not going in the building again until it's redone. Yeah.
Your Honor,
Connor?
I'd make a motion if
Second
it's
that.
appropriate.
Your second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a vote?
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yepes Gomez,
Yes.
Cahill,
Yes.
Fonseca, yes, Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Okay. Passed. All right. Discussion number 3, data center moratorium. And Marco, this is yours, so I'll let
Yep.
you go.
Yeah, that's me. So, since if we read our emails here as counselors, we know that a data center has inquired Marshalltown in March. You see across the U.S. data centers just popping up randomly, and this moratorium would be more of a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach to data centers. I think most of us don't even know what a megawatt is. Data centers have existed for decades. In fact, here in Marshalltown, we already have one. But I think what's different this decade really is the fact that, big tech, startups with venture capital are really pushing for data centers, across small towns of Iowa. So this is really doing a moratorium to take a pause and send it to zoning. And because we don't even have regulations on data centers, there's not a label in our zoning for that. It's just considered, quote, other utilities. So, we just got done talking about chickens, how we regulate them, but we don't even have the biggest development that's going to happen in this decade. So today I, would like to keep it more simple and just focus on the moratorium. But I do want to eventually in the future talk about passing this, or even maybe today, passing it to planning and zoning, and also talk about potentially or actually banning 10 plus megawatts data centers, because those are the ones that people are mostly against publicly. And then also getting on the same page with the Marshall County and Waterworks, because like in Ames right now, they're inquiring about a data center, and Story County passed a moratorium, but they're going at the city level, which it's a loophole. So yeah, so today I just want to focus on the moratorium.
Normally, we don't always do public comment with these, but I know we have some written public comments that I'd like to be read into the record.
We have a written comment submitted by Bob Higgins, 1906 Stratford Lane. Mayor Lottie and council members, I'm a Marshalltown resident and property owner, and I'm writing before tonight's vote to ask you to reject the proposed 2-year moratorium on data centers. My wife and I moved back to Marshalltown and have been actively considered bringing business here for the past 2 years, but the current state of the city's infrastructure combined with the council that increasingly seems to say no to everything is giving us real pause. A moratorium would settle the question for us. There is no clear way to tell employers and investors that Marshalltown is closed to new opportunity than to formally post a 2-year ban on the largest category of investment currently looking at communities like ours. Meanwhile, Marshalltown is finally holding the one card it ever had. Alliant already runs a 650 megawatt Marshalltown generating station, and the Iowa Utilities Commission unanimously approved the adjacent 720 megawatt Bobcat Energy Center. Nearly 1,400 megawatts of in-town generation is exactly what large developers look for, and the lack of it is exactly why they passed us over the past 20 years. The constraint that cost us that investment is being solved right now. A moratorium at this moment trades our biggest new asset away just as it appeared. The moratorium isn't a study, it's a do not call sign. You can't negotiate road funding, tax agreements, or water and rate protections with a developer you told to stay away. Here's what should worry every existing business and homeowner. When you close the door to new taxpayers, the cost of our infrastructure doesn't disappear. We can't fund aging water and utility systems, a library that needs support, a city-owned former hospital that must be demolished and ready for redevelopment. All of it still has to be paid for. Saying no to new development just passes that burden down to businesses and citizens already here as higher taxes, deferred maintenance, and or service cuts. A major industrial taxpayer is one of the few tools that broadens the base and eases the load instead. The water and capacity concerns are fair and deserve real answers. Get them from Alliant, Marshalltown Waterworks, and Marshall County Development, not from a blanket 2-year pause that ends the conversation before it begins. Study the impacts, set standards, demand protections, but keep the door open. If a specific project turns out to be wrong for Marshalltown, you can still say no. A moratorium makes that choice for us, sight unseen, for the next 2 years. Please vote no. I have another comment submitted by Tom Dimerly, 210 East Main Street. I want to thank each of you for your service to this community and for the opportunity to speak tonight. I've written these remarks with the intent to stay under 3 minutes. My name is Tom Dimerly. I live at 210 East Main Street. Some of you may have seen my letter in today's Times Republican. I want to go further than that letter tonight. I spent years leading Marshall County Development. I sat across the table from site selectors who wanted to be in Marshalltown and could not get here, not because of our land, not because of our location, because our utility did not offer a rate that made us cost competitive for large industrial customers. That has changed. What I want the council to understand is how much has changed and how little of it appears to be considered before this moratorium was drafted. Marshalltown is a rural community of 30,000 people sitting at a rare intersection of resources. We have transmission, we have water, we have available industrial land, including a city-owned IEDA certified site and a truck route that with direct access to Highway 30. We have a generating station that Alliant chose after 2 years of regional site evaluation, in large part because of our water costs and quality. We now have a second plant approved and breaking ground this year. We have a major waterworks expansion underway, completed in 2027, that adds significant new treatment capacity to this community we're already paying for. We have a sonnet ring in the ground. For those who don't know, that is a high-capacity fiber optic backbone, the kind of redundant carrier-grade telecommunications infrastructure that enterprise data operations require and that most communities of our size have never had. We have the rate structure. We have the incentive tier. Most communities our size have 1 or 2 of these. We have them all. We are about to post a close sign before a single developer has knocked. I want to be honest about something. I have a forestry degree from Iowa State with a background in natural resource conservation. I also studied economics. Those two things have been in tension my entire career, and they are in tension for me right now on this question. I generally do not know whether a data center is right for Marshalltown. The environmental impacts on large-scale power and water consumption are real, and they deserve serious analysis. But here is what both degrees tell me. A moratorium is not the analysis. It is a closed door. The environmentalist in me says if this is going to happen somewhere, and it is, then Marshalltown should be the community that demands the greenest, most efficient, lowest water use facility built to the highest standard in the country. The economist in me says we have the leverage to demand exactly that right now, and a 2-year moratorium throws it away before we ever use it. You cannot negotiate the best possible project without a developer across the table. You cannot protect the environment by refusing to be in the room. Councilman Yepes Gomez is not wrong. That standard should exist. He is wrong about the sequencing. You cannot negotiate with yourself. A moratorium does not produce a better deal. It produces no deal. With a well-written list of demands that nobody across the table will receive them. Before this council votes, I would ask several questions be answered publicly. Where Alliant Marshalltown Waterworks and the Marshall County Development consulted before this was drafted? What studies would the moratorium commission that staff reviewed and conditional permitting cannot answer now? Which Iowa communities have adopted moratoriums later attracted this investment, and if a quality project is delayed 2 years, what incentive environment will it face compared to today? A formal economic impact analysis of what this moratorium costs Marshalltown has not been done. It should be before the vote, not after. Table this, get answers, then decide.
Okay, thank you. So the way we're going to do this is I'd like city staff review on this. I believe I know Carol just left, but Clayton, you want to cover this? And then we'll do council comments. And then I know we have some interested parties in the room, like Chamber of Commerce. I see some Alliant folks back there. And then we'll do general public comment after that. Go ahead.
Where would you like to start?
Wherever you'd like to start.
Clayton Ender, Assistant Director, Housing Community Development, also serve as your zoning administrator. Councilmember Yepes Gomez is correct that we currently do not have a land use category specific to data centers in our zoning code. It would be my determination they would fit into the category of major utility. That is the closest comparable into our current zoning code. That would require review by Planning and Zoning Commission and approval by Board of Adjustment of a special use permit prior to any development. But we do not have any specific standards related to data center in our current code. They would just be the general regulations that apply to all major utilities, no different than the new generating station that was recently approved. In consideration of a moratorium, we should be careful if we want to do a moratorium. It should be narrowly tailored to a specific purpose and not used as a tool just to ban a land use we don't want. That was an item that should happen legislatively through an ordinance, not a moratorium. A moratorium is a tool we can use to hit the pause button and direct staff and various commissions to study the topic and bring it forward. I did some research on this earlier today. There are currently 2 existing moratoriums in the state of Iowa that I found, Woodbury County and Madison County. Both of them are broad moratorium on all data center development, but they're for 12-month periods. Looking more nationwide, the trends seen for communities that have adopted moratorium appear to be in the 6 to 12-month range on average. So 2 years would certainly be on the very high side of timeframes provided. But should council want to move forward with a moratorium, it would be staff's recommendation to keep that as minimal as possible, 6 months, and direct that to Planning and Zoning Commission for review and recommendation. We do have the benefit of other communities have looked at this already. We could look at Lynn County, the city of Palo, some of the other communities, Warren County, places in Iowa specifically that have looked at this. So we're not having to start from scratch in our review. So we do have that leg up to advance our time frame, and then bring forward an ordinance on how the community wants to regulate data centers. That answer could be, we don't want them. They're going to be banned. That is a perfectly acceptable answer, but that should happen through an ordinance amendment process rather than strictly use of a moratorium. But with that, happy to go into further detail, answer questions if needed.
Hey, quick
John?
question. So, maybe not today, but is there that possibility to ban 10 megawatts or plus data centers through ordinance, like through zoning laws?
To my knowledge, it is. We would certainly need to get city attorney review to make sure we don't run afoul of any state or federal legislation. But I have not come across anything that would say that we could not do that.
Connor?
Yes.
So Clayton, if there's no moratorium though, but if it's regulated as a utility, they still have to go through an approval process. They'd come before the council before they would get approved, correct?
Special use permit, so it would go Planning and Zoning Commission for recommendation, Board of Adjustment for final approval.
Yeah, council doesn't get anything.
The only reason it would come to council is if they're seeking some type of development agreement. Otherwise, it is outside the scope of the city council under the current zoning regulations.
Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Clayton, could you give us examples of the data centers that are around in Iowa that are a possibility? I mean, I looked it up and it said like Google and Microsoft, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
There's the Meta Facebook
Meta,
facilities
yep.
down in Altoona, Bondurant, Microsoft in the Waukee area. Google is currently developing facilities in Cedar Rapids. I don't remember what the company was, but there's a new one that's planned in Palo. That one hasn't broken ground. They're currently working through their ordinance right now. And I think it's also important to remember that this city council had approved a data center locally about 2 years ago up on Edgewood Road. It was a 15 megawatt facility to start out on. That one did not get off the ground, did not break ground there, but it's not without precedent locally as well for that
Okay.
desire to develop here.
And so within the zoning, is there an opportunity to have like a subcategory for the data centers and see about regulations for specifically for the data centers?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
That is exactly what zoning's there for, that we can establish those regulations.
Okay, well, Your Honor, I think I would be more interested in seeing if city staff could check it out and see what is best for our city and what is needed with the data centers. If that ends up, it's better to have something kind of there if it pops up. But I don't know about the moratorium though, prohibiting any business or any development coming in. But particularly for the zoning aspect, yes, I think that I would be open for city to do that.
And I think it's important to remember that should a moratorium not be put in place, if an application were received, it would be reviewed under the regulations that were in place at the time of application. So if they submitted something today, we would look at it according to the major utility standards, even if those regulations changed after application.
So we can tie that moratorium to basically until zoning comes back with a recommendation, right?
Yeah,
It passes.
that's Woodbury County, Madison County established it, that they specifically directed them to have a review of this and establish ordinances. They prohibited development of new facilities during the moratorium. They did not prohibit maintenance or general upkeep of existing facilities. It was just anything new or expansions. So we could tailor it narrowly that way.
Yeah, and I've gotten that feedback in good faith that maybe 2 years is a little too long. So I disagree, but I'm still open to that feedback as long as we get a moratorium and some regulations. Again, we did it for chickens. Why can't we do it for data centers? And about a few years ago, we threw a fit about grounded solar panels, and we did a moratorium. Why can't we do it for data centers? 72% of Americans don't want data centers in their city. I'm even taking a moderate approach and saying that data centers have existed for a few decades, but what people really hate is the 10 plus megawatts data centers. It's not all of them. I don't think all of them are bad, but it's the 10 megawatt data centers that people don't want.
Mark, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think we need to look at the impact of natural resources negatively and the health-based issues, because out on the West Coast, they've been having problems after that. So I think we need to look in on the health and the impact on our environment. We got good water here. We don't need to ruin that. We need to keep it as clean and pure as we can. And data centers use a lot of water, and it's non-reusable.
I think there's a correction. There is such a thing as closed loop cooling for data centers. So
But we don't-
I think we need to define the rules.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we don't need to define the rules, but a data center isn't going to show up tomorrow. I think we just need to work on setting up the rules in place and putting them in place.
Okay. So we hired the Chamber of Commerce to do our economic development. I would like to hear from John Hall. I'm going to waive the 3-minute limit since he does work on behalf of the city of Marshalltown in this respect.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Mayor and Council John Hall, Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce, 34 West Main Street. So I want to express just being surprised that this came through as a moratorium on a council agenda without any consultation of your economic development team, because we did have a project in front of you back in February 2024 that received overwhelming support, and I believe it was Councilman Nichols who said bring us more of these. The data center projects were in fact exactly what we were having conversations about. Certainly, Councilman Mitchell, water concerns are real and have been real as part of conversations for every economic development project that we've had or entertained here in Marshalltown. I've been very clear with any prospect that has come through that we don't have an abundance of water availability sitting out there. With the water treatment expansion that we've got going on, we're going to have access to an additional 2.5 million gallons per day. But we're not looking to subscribe that to a single user because we are planning for overall community growth. And so every conversation we've had, and we've had prospective data centers of a variety of different kinds, we've been very clear that, from a water capacity perspective, we're looking at a recirculation or an air-cooled system exclusively and not looking at a major water system. And I certainly have read the reports and looked at some of the information about what's coming out of, in particular, the coasts. I know, the water concern, I think AOC was the one who brought it before Congress with dirty water in a jar, found out to be isolated to 4 houses in a nearby construction area, and likely an infiltration into the pipe system itself, that it wasn't actually a systemic issue. So there's a lot of noise happening in the data center space, but cutting through to the realities of it, water concerns is something we're aware of and something that we're very clear about. Electric utility concerns and the rising costs on that, I will allow Alliant to kind of speak their piece on it, because inside of Iowa, as a regulated utility, there are controls in place already for that component. The articles that were shared alongside this council memo, the Gallup article was reporting on polling of people's fears and concerns, not actual assessments of real issues being faced. It was perceptions of issues being faced. Again, there's a lot of national media that's stirring stuff up around this. Similarly, the CR article, the electric concerns were in Virginia, not Iowa. Concerns about generators as air pollution concern. I think most people with whole home generators here recognize that the occasional need for generators is probably pretty important in our market, but not a regularly run thing. And one of the items that I took real issue with that was in both the memo and inside of that article was this conversation about jobs and impact on jobs. In the CR article, hyperscale data center facilities take years to build, and the construction phase can take a toll on community members' daily lives. I welcome that. Construction jobs are real jobs, and to talk about it as just permanent jobs afterwards, without looking at the 10 to 12 year impact that these opportunities have on the construction labor force, being in a community that is so built around construction, I take real issue with that, because that is a real economic boon for a community. QTS and Google in Cedar Rapids are currently under construction. When completed, they're expected to add about $470 million in net new revenue over 20 years. So that equates to about $23.5 million annually. Microsoft currently pays $21 million annually in the West Des Moines area. Google in Council Bluffs has 900 full-time jobs, permanent jobs there. Meta in Altoona has 500 full-time jobs there. I actually had an opportunity, unbeknownst to me, that this was going to be as relevant as it was to tour the Meta campus this last fall. They've got 5 million square feet under roof, over 500 acres. They've been under construction for 12 years with an average of 1,300 construction workers per day. Think about the construction trade industry and how often those folks are spending time away from their families, away from their regular lives because they're traveling to find work. You think about the impact of having 12 years of stable work inside of the community that you call home. Think about what that means for family life, or the ability to go to the kids' choir concert, or catch a soccer game, or be a coach for practice. They've eclipsed $2.5 billion in investment down there as a 225 megawatt facility that is entirely air cooled and all LEED Gold certified, using 100% renewable energy. So there are certainly good actors and bad actors in this space. I think being mindful about what a positive development looks like is important for our community. I think that is also a component of why the city has contracted with our organization to provide economic development services, is that we do a full assessment of what our relative availability of utilities and overall economic impact and overall community impact looks like for projects. We don't just say yes to everything. We are discerning about what makes sense in our market. And so, my recommendation tonight is to consider looking at requiring development agreements for data center projects as you navigate through ordinance consideration, because I do think that there's probably value in having specific ordinance. And Clayton and I had talked about this a couple of months back because we were working through some prospective conversations, that there's value in having an ordinance, but having a restriction about megawatt usage or otherwise feels otherwise limiting to our community, to the need of the community to have new growth in order to manage the finances. I mean, we know that there's a hard cap 2% on existing properties that's coming into effect. New properties are exempted from that, and so my recommendation is to require everything to have a development agreement. Not to say that each of those projects is getting incentives, because in fact I think there's a lot more value and figuring out how you just add them to the tax rolls, given that new growth can be captured that way, and there's some limitations on tax abatement and tax rebate and how you can calculate that growth and all those pieces. But that, requiring development agreements would require that every one of those projects be in front of you as a governing body, and making the case for why their project makes sense. So that's my recommendation this evening as your economic development professional. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to invite the Alliant folks up. I will also waive their 3-minute rule.
Good evening, Your Honor, council members. My name's Kylie Miller, and I'm a member of the Data Center Services team for Alliant Energy at 1911 East Anson Street. But before I start, I know what I'm here to talk about, but I do a lot of public speaking about economic development and community development around the state. And increasingly, I always reference Marshalltown, and I'm going to tell you why. 2 years ago, 2024, the professional developers of Iowa had a retreat here. I've never been to a town where the community business leaders were more engaged and more ready to tout what was happening in the downtown. It was, what we did is we traveled around and we visited small businesses, and every single member of that business community was ready to say all the good things that were happening. So that's a credit to you. That's a credit to economic development, and I just wanted to share that with you. So anyway, we know that when communities begin discussing the economic development opportunities associated with data centers, One of the major concerns or issues of note is energy. So my role tonight is simply to demystify how large energy loads, such as data centers, are served by Alliant Energy, and why it is that load growth can benefit all customers. As a regulated utility, Alliant Energy is required to serve all customers within our service area. We must work with all customers, big and small, to provide energy and enough power to meet their needs. When a data center or other large energy user connects to the energy system, that customer covers the cost of the infrastructure needed to serve them. Other customers are protected. I'm going to say that again. These large energy use customers fund the energy system upgrades required to connect their energy load. But they are not the only ones who benefit. Investments in the energy grid, whether generation, transmission, or local distribution, increase energy capacity and improve infrastructure for everyone because the system is shared. And there's another important benefit that can seem counterintuitive. Energy load growth helps utilities manage costs over time. Utility rates are driven by fixed costs, things like poles, wires, and substations. The more efficiently that system is used, that is simply the more electrons going through the wires, the more those costs can be spread across larger bases, more customers. That helps reduce the pressure on rates for homeowners, small businesses, and industry. It was the expectation of new large customers, including data centers, that helped Alliant commit to the Iowa Utilities Commission to keep our base rates stable through the end of the decade. To be clear, growth is one of the reasons your Alliant Energy rates are not increasing through 2030. Alliant Energy's commitment to customers makes it clear. Large energy customers pay for the energy infrastructure needed to serve them. Your reliability comes first. Serving customers with openness, integrity, and accountability is our standard, and the result can be growth without burden, growth that benefits all. So Alliant Energy's purpose is to serve customers and build stronger communities. That drives how our team members, including those who live and work right here in this county, act every day. And we are proud to be the energy provider here, and we look forward to working with the community to support growth projects that create jobs and positive outcomes for generations to come. So thank you very much, and I'd be happy to entertain questions.
Are there any questions up here of our previous two speakers? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Would anybody from the public like to make a comment?
Jared Ullery. I own a property at 3001 Corey Road in Marshall County. I'm also a long resident of Marshall County here. I run about 4 different businesses here for the last 6 years. So I also run an electric business, but I am the data center developer. So you talked about the data center developers not here today. That's me. I'm a local. I live in LeGrand, Iowa, but I own many other properties. I actually built the first data center in Marshall County over by St. Anthony 4 years ago, and that was under a special use permit. That is not a data center. That is a Bitcoin site. So that's a very flexible, high energy, just like a regular data center, but it's a very flexible load. So it's able to come on and off at very low or very, very fast times, which actually helps the grid. And I think Alliant was here. You just heard a great presentation. Alliant does a great job. I used to work for Alliant Energy. I used to work for Consumers Energy. So I've been on both sides of the meter. And for, I guess, this moratorium, when I saw this, it was very alarming to me because I am the data center developer. I represent many other data centers. Obviously, getting away from more of the Bitcoin side and going to more AI side of the business because that's just where everything is. But again, we're not talking about hyperscaling like in this vicinity right now. That power is currently being sent to Cedar Rapids for the data center they're building in Cedar Rapids because Marshalltown didn't want to support a data center here, however many years ago that was. So I guess I'm just asking to not have a moratorium, to get educated. Marco, I don't know what kind of education you have, but I don't know if you know anything about data centers.
I'm a software engineer.
Super. That's great. And again, I'm not not trying to point fingers or anything, but again, it would be nice to know a little bit of research before you make this moratorium, because it does affect business people like myself. And I am a business person here in Marshall County, so I just appreciate some more of your time and consideration, and do more review before you consider a moratorium. Thank you.
Councilman Cahill, Joe Carter, 610 Elmwood Drive. Fourth time, you are correct. Didn't think I'd be up here 4 times, but I actually came for this specific purpose. We've got to be inviting to businesses wanting to come here. A moratorium is not where we want to go. You're just telling people no. I mean, Mr. Higgins, Mr. Dimerly said it so much more eloquently than me. Mr. Hall from the Chamber of Commerce, it is his birthday as well, also did a great job in saying that, so I don't think I need to say a whole lot more, but please, please don't have a moratorium.
Doris Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place. I've heard about economic development. I've heard about What about the quality of life? That's the thing that I'm concerned about, the quality of life. Are we going to have that with data centers? I've heard so many horror stories about data centers, great big ones. Matter of fact, Brad Paisley down in Nashville, they are trying to put a data center right next or close to the Nashville Zoo. And Brad Paisley himself is getting involved in this. So let's think about the quality of life as far as that's concerned. Okay, that's my concern. Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council, 314 North 15th Street. My name is Roberto Gonzalez. You know, when I hear data centers and I hear businessmen, we only see money, right? People look after for themselves for the money. What about for the average citizen in Marshalltown? Is it going to benefit them or is it going to affect them? How does the cost of the utilities is going to go up for a regular person that is not a businessman, that doesn't have any dog in the fight? You know what I mean? A lot of times we don't really pay attention to the regular citizen, to the average citizen. We only care about developing, but let's care about the average citizen more than just the money. Care about the people, not just the money.
Wanted to make sure everyone else got their time to talk. Lane Peary, 20 East State Street. I do appreciate Councilor Yepes Gomez bringing this up instead of waiting until a proposal is already close to the finish line. I think setting up a moratorium could be a good start just to buy the city time to slow down. Get some public input like we're doing now, do some real due diligence and build out that policy before anybody feels pressured to sign off on something quickly. Or like was said earlier, before it gets presented, before we have that ordinance. So I think a pause could be good just until we get these ordinances set up. It's a chance for Marshalltown to set clear expectations up front so that if a data center does want to come here, they know before they even buy land what the rules are, what the infrastructure questions are, what the public process looks like, and what they are expected to contribute so the city can grow with a project and not in spite of it. Because I do think we are the kind of place that could attract something like this. We are building infrastructure, we are industry friendly, and we are trying to grow. But being open to investment does not mean being easy to take advantage of. To me, the bare minimum is being honest upfront about water use, power demand, utility impacts, noise, generators, lighting, and who is paying for what. If a project creates major new demands that exist mainly for that project, I do not think those costs should quietly roll downhill onto existing ratepayers. And if that is not the case, I would like that in writing. That should be clear before anything moves forward. And I think that kind of clarity is better for industry too. If we use this pause to develop real standards and expectations, then when a project does come forward later, the process is more predictable, more transparent, and probably smoother because everybody understands the rules going in. So to me, the value of the moratorium is not just delay. It is the chance to leave this pause with a real framework, one that protects the ratepayers, protects the community, and gives serious developers a clear roadmap instead of guesswork. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm used to pressing it. Anybody up here before I say something?
Your Honor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Could I ask a question of John Hall?
Of course.
Thank you, John. No. John, could you explain the process that the Economic Development / Chamber would go through if presented with an opportunity? As I'm looking at all of this, I feel I want to know what that process is to make sure we are covering these bases that people have expressed about. And so I just want to hear what that process is.
Absolutely. And again, in an effort of providing additional transparency and more control for the council, that's my recommendation is to figure out how we can, through resolution, just simply put a development agreement requirement in place until there's an ordinance amendment. But whenever we've got a prospect of any kind, and we've seen, we see food processors that need tremendous water usage. We've seen additional livestock facilities like JBS that have looked around, down to smaller projects or data center projects. There's a variety of different things that we look at. But the first thing that we do is review what the overall requirement of the community is with any of those projects. So that's everything from utilities like water, sanitary sewer. In some cases, it might not even be the volume of the sanitary sewer. It might be the strength of the effluent coming out that is a problem. We consult with our energy providers, whether that be Alliant Energy or Consumers Energy, depending on where we're at in the community. And then, we also evaluate the job creation category, recognizing that if we have somebody who's talking about, in 5 years needing 5,000 employees, which those projects do happen, that we're not a market that is going to be able to bear that without negatively impacting what we've already got. And so we're always reflective about what the overall demand of the community is related to a project. And within the data center space, I think the first point of conversation we always have is, water usage. Running water through a data center for cooling purposes is just not something that we are likely interested in. And first off, because we don't have the water availability today, we know we're going through an expansion project that should be a modular system and allow for additional expansion. But at the same time, we don't want to sign all of our water availability off to a single project like that and limit our ability to grow in any other way. In addition, we know how Waterworks has struggled to find well locations in order to draw out appropriate amounts of water to continue to grow and expand. And so until those items are figured out, we're certainly not entertaining large water consumers and are being very cognizant about that. We've had active conversations about, could gray water be an option? So could we take sanitary sewer water as it comes out before it goes into the river and utilize that? So there's conversations about what the overall system needs are and thinking about, alternate ways to approach it, but cognizant about the potable water that's coming from Waterworks is just not an acceptable component. In addition to that, I know, again, the questions of electric utility concerns, that is Alliance to answer. And again, we're a regulated utility state. So there are controls at the Iowa Utilities Board. Every rate justification has to go through a very thorough review, be justified, and cannot reflect back onto ratepayers for those additional costs related to some of these projects. As far as quality of life, I guess I don't know to what component people are looking for conversations about quality of life. These projects where we've been looking at them are in zoned industrial areas, so they are by nature fairly far removed from residential. There is certainly noise ordinance requirements that are already on the books, and so irrespective of the project, that would be a requirement that the city has control over. Again, through a development agreement process if there's additional buffering or otherwise that would be required or looked at. That would be an option. But in most cases, these projects look like large warehouses. I mean, they look like the big concrete warehouses that you see at the intersection of 8035 when you go to the Des Moines area. You know, that's what the size and scale of these projects tend to look like. And so, yeah, they're not attractive to look at, but they're not you know, beyond that, from a quality of life perspective, yeah, there's going to be constraints where you might have a wait time at a restaurant here locally because our restaurants are so busy from the construction traffic during this time. So the restaurant owners are experiencing a very positive quality of life, but us as residents might be experiencing a slightly negative impact to our quality of life. But also we might get 2 or 3 more restaurants that are able to move into town because we've got the traffic to support that. Similarly with our hotels and our retailers, you know, this is the kind of, you know, from a growth perspective, this is the kind of growth that that we would aim for, where we've got you know, a pretty strong construction trade already here in our market. This supports them. It draws more in. A lot of these folks that have been driving 330 down to Altoona every day for the last 12 years, it'd be really great to capture them up here and keep them working here, because right now they're looking at starting to drive to Cedar Rapids, and you know, being able to attract those projects this way would be great. Certainly, there's probably a global conversation about the overall impact of data centers and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing overall. That would be a really great conversation over a beer sometime. That is not a conversation that Marshalltown saying no to these projects is going to have a global impact on. My perspective is the relative benefits of these sorts of projects are something that I would like to take advantage of for our community. The construction work during that time, the permanent jobs that will come afterwards, and probably most importantly is the new tax revenue. You know, the conversations at council year after year for the last 5 years I've been here have been about budget constraints and budget concerns. The legislature has not made that conversation easier. It's not going to get easier. This is an avenue to work towards addressing that, or at least having some kind of relief valve to hit on that for the community, aside from going back and just raising costs to everybody else. So, yes.
Your Honor, could I ask a question to, I didn't catch your name, sir. Jared. Jared? Yeah. I think you were the only one who mentioned your experience with data centers. Yes. And I recall you mentioning that we should review this more before making any kind of decision. So correct. What information should we review?
Well, as John mentioned, you know, you already have decibel levels in the majority of these data centers. You can have those decibel levels. Majority of the data centers I'm talking about, they're, you know, so the 10 megawatt is just a kind of a magic number. I don't know where that came from. But we are working on closed loop systems on 50 megawatts and above. So we don't use any water of the city whatsoever. It's not potable water. It's actually treated water. So we actually bring it in from a truck, and that's actually to actually charge the system. Throughout the process, you know, depending on how hot it is, we will have to add water to that. But again, it will not come from the city water. It has to come from a purified system. So
okay. So okay, water. Okay, what other information should we?
And as far as the power goes, again, you just heard from Alliant. You've heard from, you know, there's plenty of power in this area. There's many projects going on right now on the MISO market, Tranche 1, Tranche 2, Tranche 3, and all those are coming right to Marshalltown. So I don't know if you realize, but there's a lot of construction going on at the Alliant power plant right now. Obviously, they're getting ready to build a new power plant. And my facility is right behind that. So my 10 acres is, I can look at my backyard and see the Alliant power plant from the east side. So we've got a ton of resources.
Yep, I understand. So, but with your background in data centers, noticing that you mentioned that, and that you have a data center and you built one, you were one of the first ones. So yep. I just find you as somebody who would be able to tell.
Yeah, and that data center we built 4 years ago was an air-cooled system. Today's technology with AI and things coming, they're getting into more of the non-air-cooled, so it's emerged or it's H2O. So and again, closed-loop systems because they're very efficient. And the majority of, if you drive around here and you see these evaporators, which we all know the whole evaporator thing was this last last year with a disease. Came from an evaporator system. They're all over. Like that's the same technology we're talking about when we're talking about these closed loop data centers. The technology's already here. And the fan's already running. Nobody's concerned about those when they come to town. They don't say, well, what's your decibel level? How many jobs are you going to create, right? Like, it's just a business. We're just trying to take the resources, not negatively impact, the community, and just make a living and use this data.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for your input.
So the mayor had some comments he wanted me to read. So because I cannot make tonight's meeting, I'd still like my opinion to be heard. At Monday night's council meeting, up for discussion is a moratorium on data centers for 2 years. I believe this would be a mistake. Data centers are controversial. I get it. Closing the doors to data centers for 2 years would have a chilling effect on other businesses looking to come to Marshalltown. It's just the optics of how things really work. I prefer the Cedar Rapids model. Recently, I had the opportunity to discuss the Cedar Rapids data center with a counselor about the data centers that are underway there. She was right to the point. The difference between a bad data center and one that can benefit the community depends on the agreement that the city works out with the data center owners. Water issues, location, environmental issues, noise issues, financial issues that may benefit the city, employment, electric usage impacting citizens. If the data center does not address all the concerns and agree to the terms, then the city council should reject their application. Nobody wants a bad deal, least of all me, Mayor Mike Lottie-Hoff. And so, Mike, I think the moratorium is a terrible idea. We need a sign, a bat signal, if you will, saying we're open for business. And if we pass this moratorium, it's not just going to be data centers looking the other way. So I really hope we soundly defeat this. I think the Chamber of Commerce has a great idea of just having a development agreement that we have to pass. I think that's the way forward, and I hope we can come to that conclusion.
Motion. Passes to zoning and the zoning commission and planning and zoning, and basically get relevant staff to come up with updated ordinances and recommendations, and explore that 10 megawatts or more ban. And until then, a moratorium would be in place until that gets passed.
That was a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Your Honor, could we bring Clayton? I just have a question. Clayton, so with this motion, how long would you say you guys would have in order to get all the information?
Like I
Is what
mentioned
take, sorry.
earlier, we have the benefit of examples of other communities that we can get this in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission fairly quick. I think we could move it pretty quick. I did catch that in the motion there wasn't a specified end date. It was kind of open-ended. I would suggest we specify an end date just to be on more solid legal ground. The council always has the option to extend a moratorium by further action. But that would be my recommendation, that you at least include a definitive timeline for that. And I would recommend 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months then.
Second that.
I just want to caution us of the reputational damage, if this passes, that it will do. So I think we've talked enough. We'll have a vote.
I'm sorry, who made that motion?
Marco.
Marco, okay.
So is it one motion and a 6 month is an amendment to it, or is
I
that?
suppose. Let's vote on the amendment first.
Okay, the amendment for the 6-month timeline. Kale?
No.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
No.
Schneider?
No.
Thompson?
No.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
That failed.
Yeah, the amendment failed. Let's vote on the existing motion.
Okay, it's to move this matter forward to P&Z to come up with an amendment ordinance and explore a ban of 10 megawatts and until the moratorium would be in place until
10 megawatts or more.
Thompson?
No.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
No.
Sorry, hold on. My computer is buffering.
Maybe you need a data center.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go back. Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
No.
Fonseca?
No.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
No.
Schneider?
No.
That failed.
Okay, motion failed.
Your Honor, I would make the motion, but the same motion, just not include the moratorium. So forward this to P&Z to come up with the ordinance and explore the 10 megawatt or more ban. That's it.
We have a motion.
Second.
Ready to vote?
Yeah, call the roll.
Okay. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
No.
Schneider?
No.
Thompson?
No.
Yepes Gomez?
Yes.
Cahill?
No.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Failed.
I would like to make a motion to direct staff to work with the Chamber of Commerce about establishing development agreements for these kind of deals.
Second.
Let's call the roll.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yepes Gomez?
No.
Cahill?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Passed.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thanks. Mike could have it for a while. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's my question
Somebody to turn this on.
Thank you. Good night.